Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios, big12studios.com, the Big 12 Fast channel. We are back. We are
super pumped, jacked,
so back.
Ready to convey opinions up the wazoo for the next 3 hours.
Opinion Central. That man is Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. Will Connerly filling in this week on the controls. He's producing our program. Happy post-Thanksgiving.
Happy post-Thanksgiving to you. Did you have a productive Black Friday?
Super productive.
Good.
Super productive. Got all the deals.
Did you get that quarter zip you're wearing?
No, this is a throwback.
Okay, so you've had that.
How do you feel about it?
No, I mean, you look like you're about to give a TED Talk on trail mix and composting.
One of those two things I love.
You look like you're about to tell me about how you go off-roading with your Subaru.
I love Subarus.
Subarus are great.
I love Subarus.
You look like if LinkedIn were a person and wore fleece.
Boulder, Colorado is the Subaru capital of the world.
Indeed it is.
There is a Subaru on every corner. And I'm a fan. I'm here for it. In fact, I went to Boulder and I thought, I should get a Subaru.
And the Subaru to Patagonia quarter zip ratio is 1-to-1.
1-to-1, at least 1-to-1. 1-to-1 minimum. Well, I can't wait to see the Peloton video that you'll be filming later today. I'm excited.
Did you like? I joined the jogger world, so get ready for me to wear these exact pants every day.
You should. New pants, charcoal gray, blends in with the furniture that we sit on, which really makes the hoodie / Patagonia quarter zip pop.
Yeah, we're pretty much dressed the same today, so I don't know how I'm making fun of you, but I figured it out.
Yeah, you found a way.
Yeah.
You found a way.
If there's a will, there's a way.
If there's a will, there's a way. Well, we made fun of each other a lot over the weekend because Kansas State didn't look great against Colorado, but survived to get to 6-6. We'll discuss potential bowl destinations for them and everybody else in the Big 12 on the program today because the Big 12 championship game is set. Saturday, it's Texas Tech. It's BYU. It's at noon Eastern, 11 Central. John Pardee will be the halftime performer. There will be marching band performances from both schools. And you can get tickets via SeatGeek, Big12Sports.com. You can see on your Big 12 Studios screen. You can scan that QR code, check out Venmo, and all the great things they're doing for the conference. So I'm hyped for that Big 12 championship game, but we've got a lot to get to today in terms of, now that the regular season is over, how each school should feel or does feel potentially about their 12-game slate. And, man, you were telling me before the air, you went what with the over-unders that we did preseason?
12-4.
So that's over-under win total. We went through all 16 teams. We did deep dive team previews. We had all the magazines. We had all the audio. We went to media days. We knew all of our stuff. And you go 12-4.
12-4. Yeah, I missed a few of them, including Baylor, having Baylor go over. Kansas, I had push at 8. Whew, that was bad. Couple others, but those the Baylor and Kansas ones, the ones that stand out.
Yeah, I would say our two biggest misses were you had Baylor in the Big 12 championship game, and I had Kansas State.
Yeah. As it turns out, those are both dreadful misses.
Now, we both had Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Which coming into the season, we were kind of on an island there. A lot of people knew that Texas Tech would be better, but maybe didn't realize how talented this team was.
Yeah,
12-4.
I'd say the biggest miss is the BYU piece. BYU was really good last year. Both you and I were not as strong on BYU heading into the season, and all they've done now is win 22 football games. First time ever for BYU to win 11 football games in a regular season. An incredible run for them. And, Kalani Sitake following their win over UCF, did some lobbying. Now we'll see how much it matters because there's just a lot to discuss and break down when it comes to the college football playoff, including the Lane Kiffin saga. We finally have an ending to Lane Kiffin saga. Old drama himself, a man that the drama, I guess, just continually finds him. He was sent off from Ole Miss. He's not going to be coaching them in the playoff. He's off to LSU. So, the biggest thing, aside from this ridiculous saga finally ending, and by the way, a great example of, I'm not sure what the best way to leave a job is, but I can tell you and assure you that this is probably the worst way to leave a job.
Yeah.
And, basically, Lane Kiffin burned every bridge while he was on the bridge. It's that's what Lane Kiffin did on his way out at Ole Miss. But it's a remarkable story when you consider that he's leaving Ole Miss to potentially get closer to a playoff and national championship berth, despite coaching a team that's currently in the playoffs to make a run in the playoffs.
Okay.
So he's leaving a school to go to a different school that gives him a better chance to make the playoff and win a national championship while in a playoff run with another school. And it might be true about LSU, but it's a pretty remarkable thing to do.
He wants to win a national championship game. He is 3 games away. And it hit me yesterday when I'm trying to explain this to a 10-year-old, how the LSU job is better than the Ole Miss job.
Yeah.
And it was difficult.
Right.
It was challenging.
Because he could win a title there, but isn't he going to the playoff?
Wait a minute. He's in the playoff. Ole Miss is way better. Why would he go to an LSU team that's not even going to make a bowl when he's about to compete for a national championship this year, right now?
Yeah.
So, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
You're like, when I started arguing this, it made way more sense. And now that we're talking through this,
I'm sitting there, I'm like,
you're right.
The kid's right. He was also right last year about how in the world did SMU get in the college football playoff over BYU when they played each other?
Yeah, pretty remarkable.
And BYU won the head-to-head, and they've got an even stronger case this year to be in the field. We'll break that down later on the program. But we are brought to you by Modelo, and each and every Monday we kick off the program here on Big 12 Radio, on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios with our Big 12 Whiparound. So Will chimes in. Will give us a game.
And by the way, this is the last one for the season.
I don't like that.
Yeah. How about that?
Now I've got all the feels today.
Yeah. Week 14. Boom. Done.
All the feels. It's gone. We
It's
can't
over.
do this for bowl season or basketball season. I love the Big 12 Whiparound.
We can do it. Yeah. No, don't worry, James. We'll figure it out. Life goes on.
It's my favorite part of the show. Minus all the other fun things we do.
It's true.
All right, Will, you're going to give us a game, and we're going to break it down. We've got a timer on the clock. We'll go a minute or two on each. So walk us through, where do we start today?
All right, producer Will.
That music's very loud.
It is.
Very nicely done.
So we start today, Kansas, Utah. Go.
Kansas and Utah. Utah won at 31-21. I'll leave plenty here for Ari to have the floor. Jalen Daniels had a key throwaway. This is the play right here. Not on Big 12 Studios. I thought it was the play because it was a similar part of the field later in the game, in which he's trying to throw the ball away, and he throws it towards the back corner of the end zone, and it is intercepted. It was a huge turning point in the game. Utah dominated in the second half. Devin Dampier, 253 passing, 3 touchdowns. He delivered when it mattered most. But, Ari, how did this one feel over the weekend?
Yeah, not good. So Kansas, was hanging tough with Utah in the first half. And then it kind of came apart in the fourth quarter, and Jalen Daniels came unglued. Kansas had 4 drives in the red zone in the second half and came away with 0 points, which included 2 red zone interceptions, including the pick 6 by Jalen Daniels. So when you look back on Jalen's career, ultimately this won't be a game he'll be remembered for, because he had 3 INTs, a pick 6 in the second half, and again, Kansas had 4 red zone drives in the second half and came away with 0 points on those red zone drives. But yeah, ultimately there were some turnovers on the part of Utah in the first half. Not a clean game by Utah, but they pulled away late and won this game. And I would say with Jalen Daniels overall, it's a guy that came in, probably played his best in 22 and then just seemed to regress. Never really got better at all over the course of his career. Like just at his top of his heights of his power in 2022.
Totally agree. And his numbers this year look really good on paper, but he just made a lot of costly, boneheaded plays. Like that play where he's scrambling out of the pocket and he's just throwing the ball away. You can throw it anywhere. It's like in his brain he said, how can I make this look as cool as possible? Oh, I'm going to chuck it as far as I can off balance to the back corner of the end zone. Doesn't make it to the sideline, and Utah's the only guy within 20 yards of that football for the INT.
All right, next up, Houston Baylor.
The Houston Cougars finished the season 6-0 on the road for just the 3rd time in program history. They go 9-3. They did it in 2011 and 2021. They led 14-0 and really never looked back. Connor Wegman accounted for 3 touchdowns. Baylor could once again move the football between the 20s, but in 6 red zone trips, they only had 1 touchdown. They had a couple of turnovers in the first quarter. Houston really controlled this game.
Yeah, and Houston was up 24-9 heading into the fourth quarter, and they watched their lead disappear within 7 minutes, including a 4th-and-9 touchdown that Baylor had to Josh Cameron to get within a touchdown. But ultimately, Baylor had the ball inside the Houston red zone and failed on 4th down. Houston holds on to win 31-24. And so this game really came down to 2 drives. One, a 15-play, 74-yard, nearly 7-minute drive capped off by Dean Connors at the goal line to put Houston back on top 31-24, and then Houston getting the stop on defense in the final 2 minutes of this football game. So great win by Houston to salt this one away in Waco, and Baylor now 5-7 outside the bowl picture.
Colorado, Kansas State.
Oh, this was gross. Man, it was gross. It was 32 degrees with a wind chill in the 20s in Manhattan. It was a light crowd. This game was tied 7-all at the half. The K-State offense was stagnant for most of the game. They barely passed it. There was also a really gnarly wind, which I think played into just how gross this game was. But once again, Joe Jackson was really big for K-State. K-State knocked through a couple of field goals late in the game. They were up 17-7 with 6:43 to go, but the Buffs answered with a 9-play, 75-yard scoring drive. Jackson would seal it with a 17-yard touchdown with 2.5 left. He finished with 142 yards, but Avery Johnson, 10 for 17 passing, just $115, and again was non-existent in the ground game, just 36 yards rushing, which has been the story all season long.
5th straight bowl trip for the Wildcats.
Hey!
Woo! Yeah, this felt like a game where K-State should have ran away with it early. Instead, it was 60 minutes of stress against a hapless Colorado team. Colorado defensively had struggled all year. And when you consider that early on in this game, Joe Jackson, it took a little bit for him to get going. He finally did. But K-State only got to 206 yards, which is less than the average that Colorado gives up on the ground. And then we saw the full Caden Salter experience. Drives extended by his legs, creativity, but then inconsistency, incompletions, and a key interception. It was the full-on Caden Salter experience for Colorado.
Iowa State, Oklahoma State.
This one was also cold and windy in Stillwater. Iowa State got the 20-13 win. Wasn't pretty. Field position, turnovers, the difference, and then Abu Sama, a 40-yard burst in the third quarter to make it 17-7. He finishes with 87 yards on 12 carries and a touchdown, but the Iowa State defense holds a hapless Oklahoma State team to 219 yards. 2 takeaways in the contest. Rocco Becht had a 16-yard touchdown in this game. Iowa State, they never led by a huge margin, but they led wire to wire and got the win, and Iowa State hits 8 wins for the 5th time under Matt Campbell, and Oklahoma State's lost 19 straight Big 12 conference games.
Yeah, Oklahoma State pulled within 1 score 3 times, but they can never get over the hump because of turnovers, penalties. Flores hit a fumble and an inability to finish drives. You mentioned the Abu Sama 40-yard touchdown run. That was the biggest play of the game. This was classic Matt Campbell grinder ball when Iowa State 231 rushing yards to 27 for Oklahoma State. They ran the ball. They played defense. They won situational football. They survived ugly. Classic Iowa State grinder performance here. And look, I mean, this is the floor for Iowa State football under Matt Campbell, right? You have a bad season to win 8 games with a chance to win 9 now going to a bowl. Pretty incredible for that program. 10 seasons for Matt Campbell, you mentioned it. 5 seasons of 8+ wins. So it's not bad. Not bad.
Texas Tech, West Virginia.
And Iowa State lost, all 4 of their games in 4 consecutive showings.
Yeah.
So they bookended their season with a really nice start and a really nice finish. Now, Texas Tech and West Virginia, I watched a good chunk of this game, and it felt like Texas Tech was sleepwalking, and they still won by 49. It was just a day at the office for the Red Raiders. 4 of their first 5 drives resulted in touchdowns, and they hit 3 different wide receivers for scores. Baron Morton got pressured a couple of times, but he didn't take a sack, so minimal damage done to his body as they get ready for the Big 12 championship game. But again, the defense just absolutely nails. Jacob Rodriguez had his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season to help his Heisman campaign. A shutout in Morgantown.
Yeah, 49-0. It felt like it was way more than that. And yeah, I think you're right about the sleepwalk part, especially early on. Like Morton was pressured a bit early on, and look, the first couple drives, like, this could be a struggle here.
Yeah.
And then they got Cameron Dickey going, and that really kickstarted their offense. Caleb Rogers was phenomenal in this game, and Cameron Dickey went over 1,000 yards in the season in this game. And Texas Tech just kept scoring and kept stopping West Virginia. Remember, both Texas Tech and BYU had clinched the Big 12 title berth before their game, so they didn't need to win, but both showed up in big ways in their games.
UCF BYU.
Yeah, this one was kind of similar to Texas Tech, except UCF actually had a lead. They had a 14-0 lead over BYU, and it's like, okay, keep an eye on this game. Is this the Kansas game from last year? And BYU slammed the door shut on that idea relatively quickly. They outscored UCF 21-7 in the third quarter. They had a third rushing touchdown from L.J. Martin. The defense really clamped down after that first session, holding UCF to just one more touchdown the rest of the game. Bear Bachmeier finishes with 289. BYU gets the 41-21 win. L.J. Martin, 95 yards on the ground with those 3 touchdowns that I noted.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier it's the first time ever for 11 wins in the regular season. First time since 2001 for BYU to get 11 wins in the regular season. And their best 2-year stretch ever with 22 wins. And yeah, I mean, this game was 14-0 UCF. And then BYU put 31 unanswered, which the exclamation point was Parker Kingston at his first punt return touchdown of the season to make it 31-14. Yeah, but UCF was outscored 41-7 overall and 31-0 unanswered to put this game to bed. And Bear Bachmeier, arguably his best performance, 289 yards passing, only 4 incompletions, had a touchdown, and just did a good job in terms of passing and throwing and running and knowing when to do each of those.
All right, we had Arizona State.
This was maybe the biggest shocker of the weekend for me. Arizona to go on the road and beat their rival. 23-7 was the final. The Arizona Wildcats finished the season 9-3, 6-3 in the Big 12. They spoiled any chance for Arizona State to make the Big 12 title game. And remember, this game was on Friday, so it was a day before Texas Tech and BYU. It was the same day as the Utah game. But Arizona outscored Arizona State 20-0 in the second half. Didn't allow any big plays in the final 2 quarters, and Noah Fafita goes for 286, a touchdown. He was efficient, and they forced 5 turnovers, which is very un-Arizona State-like offensively.
Yeah, Jeff Sims, this was the full Jeff Sims experience, something we've seen throughout his college career where he was just giving the ball away. Dalton Johnson had a fumble recovery just to rip the ball away, and then also an interception late in this game. Yeah, Fafita was in control and command on offense, but this game was about Arizona's defense. Arizona's defense just absolutely dominated Arizona State. 5 turnovers and held Arizona State to just 214 total yards in this game, which is the second fewest ever for Arizona State in this game against Arizona. So, statement win for Brent Brennan and this Danny Gonzalez defense.
Cincinnati TCU.
Well, this was another shocker, and I think because of how it happened. So there was a massive delay in this game. TCU gets on the board 7-0. Joseph Manjack caught a 3-yard touchdown, and then you had a 90-plus minute weather delay. Second time this season that they've been delayed out in Fort Worth. Hoover, back-to-back haymakers in the second quarter after the delay, a 44-yard catch and run to Jeremy Payne, an 81-yard drive that was capped with a 17-yard touchdown to Eric McAllister. Payne went bananas. Where has the ground game been all season? TCU, I cannot figure out that football team. Here we are, week 14 or whatever it is, and I still don't know which TCU team's going to show up. They finish 8-4 after they pound Cincinnati over the weekend. Final score 45-23.
Yeah, this thing was 24-17 late in the first half, and TCU goes on a 9-play, 75-yard drive, capped off by Payne's 9-yard touchdown run. And that sort of felt like where this game was over. Manjack had a touchdown that was then recovered in the end zone by Dwyer after he fumbled it in the end zone. And we have to have a discussion about Cincinnati losing another November game. You mentioned this early last week, I believe, or maybe even 2 weeks ago. Cincinnati has lost 10 straight games the month of November, dating back to 2023, and they've lost 11 of 12 overall. Cincinnati has 1 win in November in the first 3 seasons in the Big 12. It became November 11th, 2023, 24-14 win over Houston. So, and I thought Sorsby played well. He did all he could do. But this was a lot of what we saw last year from Cincinnati when they struggled down the end of the season with, inability to run the football. Their defense couldn't stop anybody. Josh Hoover had as many touchdowns as incompletions in this game.
This time last year, Cincinnati was fighting to make a bowl game. This time this year, Cincinnati at one point controlled their own destiny to make the Big 12 championship game. They end the season on a 3-game losing streak.
And how about this stat? Cincinnati under Scott Satterfield is 0-18 when trailing at halftime.
0-18.
0-18.
I mean, coaches usually have a really bad record when they trail at the half, but not 0-18 bad.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough. All right, coming up next, Ari and I will break down our Big 12 Today weekly awards. We go through our Players of the Week, our Coach of the Week, and then the important stuff like Jersey of the Week, Atmosphere of the Week. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on the Big 12 Fast Channel, Big 12 Studios. We're back after this timeout. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league.
And he
Back inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league here on TuneIn. Our guest lineup today will be Robert Allen, the Oklahoma State sideline reporter and covers Oklahoma State for Pokes Report, which in my eyes is the go-to source for all things Cowboys. And he'll have the inside scoop on what went down with Eric Morris, why Oklahoma State chose him, why he chose Oklahoma State. The North Texas coach will finish out the season with the Mean Green and then be at Oklahoma State next year. He's already said he's bringing his entire staff with him. I think he'll bring a ton of players, which will immediately upgrade that Oklahoma State team. And then hour number 3, Taylor McHargue, our Monday morning quarterback, joins Big 12 today. From CBS and ESPN, you can catch him here on Big 12 Studios on Inside the 12. We are ramping up to the Big 12 championship game, which is this Saturday between BYU and Texas Tech. You can hear it right here on Big 12 Radio. It starts at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Ari, I think you'll like this. Quick comment. Over the weekend, I realized that I talk about you a lot. Amongst family and friends. This show's a huge part of my life. I really enjoy it. But
Good, that makes just one of us.
There's enough love coming from me for the both of us.
That's right.
That's fine.
I'd never talk about you outside of this.
Why would you?
Yeah.
But yeah, group text about the Bears. Ari's a huge Bears fan. Yes, I've been following the Bears. Of course I have. Somebody brought up sneakers or something in a casual conversation.
Ari's a sneakerhead.
Ari said the same thing about those. I'm eating a protein muffin. Ari would love this. He's all protein all the time. Yeah. So
We're in a marriage.
somebody called me dumb. I was like, Ari says the same thing.
Ari calls me dumb.
Monday through Friday, he calls me Simple James. And it brings joy and laughter to my soul. I was like, I need to dial it back. Why am I talking about Ari so much? My dad said, I'd like to meet him.
Done.
Yeah. So you've got a big fan.
I'll make sure to wear my my Jayhawk gear with your dad when we hang out.
He'd love it. He'd love it.
No, I talk about you all the time.
Oh, of course.
Mostly to my wife.
All the time, yes.
My work wife and my home wife.
Mm-hmm.
So you're one of those two, which is great.
That's the way to go.
It feels weird to call you a work husband.
I think I like wife better.
Yeah, good.
It just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, and it fits you.
Yeah, right, because I'm dainty and girlish. It's our Big 12 today. Weekly awards. We've got player, coach, jersey, and atmosphere. Let's start with our Big 12 player of the week. We'll go in order today. Ari, who's your Big 12 player of the week?
I went with Parker Kingston here. I thought in a game where BYU really needed somebody to step up for Chase Roberts, Kingston was that guy. He became the de facto number one. Chase Roberts, has the hamstring issue, which hopefully won't, limit his ability in the Big 12 championship game. But Kingston stepped up, 6 for 126 and a touchdown. Also had a 55-yard punt return for touchdown. We saw Parker Kingston do that last year too. Guy's got incredible speed and ability. So I just thought the all-purpose day for him, 2 total touchdowns, 126 receiving yards, and then the 55-yard touchdown return on the punt is why Parker Kingston was my player of the week this week for the Big 12.
Yeah, he was massive. He caught that 4th and 3 from Bear Bachmeier that was maybe Bear's best throw of the season.
Yep.
Like, that is a tight window. That game is still a 10-point game in the third quarter. Like, it's still within reach for UCF, and Kingston caught it in traffic, and then he got the edge, and he was off to the races. My player of the week this week, I'm going for a very fired-up Connor Wegman. The Houston quarterback had a massive day on the ground in that win over Baylor. I believe he had over 100 yards rushing in that game. Yeah, goes for $121, goes for over 200 in the air. So 322 yards, 3 total touchdowns. And if we could, Will, let's play his post-game interview on TNT. He was jacked. He was amped. He was excited.
He did have a really
Hey, give me your mindset, man. Connor, Victor Cruz here. Congrats on the win. Congrats on getting to a bowl game. So we're excited to see you continue playing some football. Talk to me about when you run the ball. Like, we know about, how you pass, and I love how you get the ball to Amari Thomas and your pass catchers out there. Talk to me when you're running the football. who do you turn into? Is it a running back, or like what's your mindset when you get to tucking that thing and you're going up and down, shrugging defenders off and juking dudes?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I turn into a running back, try not to get my head taken off. I mean, that's how I run the ball. I mean, I didn't start playing quarterback till the 7th, 8th grade. Like all Little League, I played running back. So I mean, I've always had it in there. It comes out sometimes. So
look good, bro.
Connor,
appreciate
it. All right, Connor, Champ Bailey here. Great win, great way to finish the regular season. I tell you what, man, it's been an honor watching you develop throughout this year, having you early in the year and now. I mean, you continue to roll. Now, as a quarterback, I would assume you like to pass more than run.
Oh, absolutely.
Throughout the week, are you lobbying for more passes? And I'm sure your receivers are helping with that.
I mean, yeah, but it's whatever it takes to win. I mean, we have a good system. I trust Coach Nagel and Coach Fritz, and whatever it takes to win, I'm going to go out there and do it. And I try and spread the ball out, give the ball to my playmakers, but when it's time to make plays, we got to do what it takes.
Connor Wegman, TNT postgame interview after the Houston win at Baylor. So he grew up playing running back. So this isn't a surprise to him that he can run the football like this. Had 121 yards on the ground against Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few quarterbacks I looked at that could have been players of the week this week, including Connor Wegman and Josh Hoover, I thought were the two best performances from a quarterback position. And, I mean, Wegman was definitely my runner-up. I just thought Kingston from, the need in terms of his role stepping up was huge. But, yeah, Wegman was fantastic in this game.
Yeah, this was kind of the weekend of the quarterback. Like 2 weeks ago was the running back. A bunch of guys went off, 3 200-yard rushers, and then this week it shifted back to the quarterback play. Who's your Big 12 coach of the weekend?
My Big 12 coach of the weekend is Brent Brennan, the Arizona coach. To see where they were a year ago, where there were rumors that he could be out after 1 year, to building this program to win 9 games with decisions they made on the defensive side of the football. When you look at their personnel, like they didn't dramatically improve their personnel on the defensive side. The Danny Gonzalez hiring, I think turning the offense over to Seth Dagey, like just to prove huge hires. And now you look and they've got Fafita coming back for next year. Ton of momentum. Brent Brennan for me was the coach of the week this week after their win over Arizona State.
Should he be in the conversation? Because he's my coach of the week too. I thought it was a no-brainer this week to go on the road as over a touchdown underdog, beat Arizona State, and beat them soundly in their backyard. The defending Big 12 champs, I don't care how many injuries they have. Arizona's been beat up too at times this season. I thought was massive. I mean,
knock them out. They knocked them out of the Big 12 title picture.
To finish 9-3, but my question, should he be in the conversation for Big 12 Coach of the Year in terms of exceeding preseason expectations?
Yeah, I think there's no question about that, and he certainly will be. I mean, they've got a chance to win 10 games. That's not something that happens at Arizona a ton. So, yeah, I mean, look, my Coach of the Year is Joey McGuire because it's one thing to have the talent, it's another thing to coach the talent up to get to the point where they were just this dominant this year. But Brent Brennan's certainly in the conversation, no doubt about it.
All right, what is your Big 12 jersey of the weekend?
A lot of good choices here. I thought, Baylor's gold chrome helmets looked cool. But I'm going to go with a jersey you've picked previously.
Okay. Which
is the Kansas all-black jerseys with the awesome Warhawk helmet. Because I don't think I gave them the jersey of the week at all this season. So I figure why not highlight the black on black with the circus print font and the Warhawk helmet. Those are sweet with the Warhawk on the side. So, yeah, Kansas finishes 5-7 again. A hugely disappointing season considering they lost 3 of the last 4 to not get to bowl eligibility, but they looked good doing it.
Love the all black. Doesn't make any sense. There's not a lick of black in their color palette, but when they wear the all black, it just works. For some reason, it does. For me, I'm going with TCU, another team that I haven't chosen all season. TCU wore the black tops and the purple pants. Thought it looked good on TV. TCU could probably use a refresh. I don't think the kind of military-style numbers are going anywhere because athletic director Mike Buddy and his Army background, he was there for 2 decades. But the purple-black-purple combo, I liked it Saturday night as they took down BYU.
I'm sorry, did you just give them the award for the best jerseys this week and then basically say they need a brand refresh?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
Got it.
There's too much potential there. They get the best jersey of the week, but the potential is there to do some really cool stuff. Like back in the Trayvon Boykin era.
Oh, yeah.
They had like the collar with the...
the Wakanda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Those look cool.
The what?
Black Panther Wakanda look.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
We need more Wakanda in our
Yeah,
life.
that's right.
We do. Yes. Atmosphere of the week.
You sound like a guy that's watched a lot of Black Panther.
I've seen one. I've seen one.
There you go.
I've seen. How many are there?
I think just one.
I've seen the OG, the original.
Yeah,
It was
maybe
fantastic.
two.
Very futuristic.
Maybe at two. Let's go with two. Clearly somebody that's seen all of them as well.
Right.
Atmosphere of the week, I'm going to go out to Provo, Utah. BYU is my atmosphere of the week. You know, even though BYU knew going in that they had it in the bag and were going to the Big 12 title game, they finished off UCF in front of a great crowd for one last time at BYU. I'm sure they will have a great crowd at AT&T Stadium on Saturday as BYU fans travel, and should be a great atmosphere with both Tech and BYU. Those are two of the best fan bases in the Big 12. But I thought one last hurrah out at Provo, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, was the atmosphere of the week this week for the Big 12.
Yeah, this was a no-brainer. I've got the Lavelle Edwards Stadium out in Provo. Atmosphere of the week, BYU. Could have been Arizona State, but that didn't go the way they'd hoped, so that crowd was bleak down the stretch in the second half. All right, those are our Big 12 Today weekly awards, player, coach, jersey, atmosphere, and coming up next, we go out to Stillwater, Oklahoma. We talk with Robert Allen, the Oklahoma State sideline reporter from Pokes Report, to get the inside scoop on the future of Oklahoma State football, which will be new head coach Eric Morris, who will finish out the season with North Texas. We'll get his thoughts on that hire. How many players might be back? How many players might come with Eric Morris? There's a lot of Oklahoma kids on that North Texas roster. He's Ari, I'm James. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios and Big12Studios.com. With R.A. Timken, I'm James Westling. We go out to Stillwater, Oklahoma, to chat with Robert Allen, Allen Go Pokes on Twitter or X. He writes for PokesReport.com, sideline reporter for the Cowboys Radio Network. Hey, Robert, good morning.
Good morning. What's going on?
Did you just give us some breaking news that this will be your last year on the sidelines with Dave Hunziker and the crew?
I did my last game on Saturday with the Iowa State game, so I will. I'm not retiring. I mean, a lot of people thought, "Oh man, you're going to go take it easy and live in the Bahamas or something." That's not the case, but I've got a daily radio show in Stillwater that I'll continue to do, and I'll continue to write for Pokes Report. But I had thought that when Mike Gundy was out, and I started with Les Miles. So, I mean, I did 25 years on the network.
Wow.
And started really with Dave Hunziker when he took over after we lost Bill Teagans in the plane crash with the basketball team, 2001.
Wow.
So I've been doing this, 25 years, and I thought when Mike would go out, probably be a good time to change over. And I don't know who will take that spot. I have a good idea, and it's a former player, which is good, and it'll be his time to mold and be the guy down there for Eric Morris, because I had an exceptional run, guys, in that Mike Gundy, I had a bench pass. A lot of guys around the conference were jealous because they didn't have that, and then I was in the locker room, and Mike Gundy gave me absolutely unprecedented access, and so now's a good time to make that change.
Yeah, man, you had the inside scoop. Week 1, I had Oklahoma State's game on television, and we got the news because Oklahoma State wouldn't say anything to us about Haas Haney being hurt. We got it from you because you were on the sideline, you were in the locker room, and you guys you do a tremendous job is what I'm trying to say.
Well, how about that? Haas Haney. He was, I think, if not the second highest paid rev share NIL player this year, and he did one quarter. It was a good quarter. It was a really good quarter.
It's a great quarter. He looked really good.
Yeah. But after that, it was over. So, it was – I mean, this year, the last 2 years, Ari and I were talking during the timeout, I've had a tremendous run. I mean, there were 18 years of winning seasons, bowl games, dominating Texas. Not OU, but you got a couple of good wins over OU. In fact, on the way out, you got 2 of the last 3. But you beat Notre Dame in a bowl game. You beat Miami, Florida in a bowl game. Stanford in a bowl game. Texas A&M. I mean, you were. I mean, this program was. We got used to it being very nationally relevant, and when it's not now, it's really. It feels different. It feels really different. So, shout out to David Lawrence at Kansas on their radio network. He called me after Mike was out and warned me that this can get rough, and because they know it, they had an interim coach situation at KU a couple of times, so it's been interesting. But I will say this: down the stretch, the kids and the players never quit.
Right.
Now we lost a lot of players. I should say that there were a lot of kids that opted out in the portal or opted for a red shirt, and I can't blame them for that. But the kids that stayed.
And played.
They played,
yeah.
Practiced hard, and if you look at the defense the last month, which Clint Bowen did an amazing job with, the defense was very Big 12 competitive against maybe not the upper echelon, actually against Tech. I mean, they held Tech under 400 yards, and they held them under 100 yards rushing. And so the defense was pretty good down the stretch, but the offense never got going.
Yeah. Robert, give us your thoughts on Eric Morris. I mean, I think it's a great hire because, I mean, at a bare minimum, we know. I mean, this is a dude that it doesn't matter who it is at quarterback. This guy's going to get the best season for his quarterback. And I mean, you look at him historically. I mean, there's some big time players he's coached, but even the ones, that aren't big time players. I mean, the Chandler Morris, Chandler Rogers, grouping at North Texas had, outlier type seasons under Eric Morris at North Texas.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I agree with you, Ari. And the first time I'd ever heard of Eric Morris was when Dana Holgerson was the OC at Oklahoma State in 2000. It was 2010, and Dana would say, "Yeah, I got this guy that played receiver at Tech, and we call him the Elf, and sometimes he's the evil elf." Because I guess he's a little bit of a prankster, or at least he was as a player. And Dana bragged about him, said he's going to be a great coach. And it's amazing here about 15 years later, he's going to be the head coach at Oklahoma State. So, and here's the other thing I like about him. He's an air raid guy, okay? I mean, he runs the Leach principles in the air raid. But much like Dana, when he came in here and learned the run game from Mike Gundy, he runs the football. I mean, he's got a freshman that's rushed for close to 1,300 yards this season. And I watched him the other day against Temple. They mix zone read or zone run game with gap scheme. And so, yeah, he's an all-purpose coach, but he's got an expertise, obviously, in throwing the football with the air raid. And you know what? The defense, I don't know if he'll be coming, but the defensive coordinator, Skylar Cassidy, his brother played at Oklahoma State. And his dad was the defensive coordinator here back in the 90s for Bob Simmons. So this has a lot of tradition, at least some ties to Oklahoma State, with Eric Morris coming back, and especially if he brings Skylar Cassidy with him.
Yeah, and I think he said he told somebody at North Texas that was the plan. And Cassidy's in his first year at UNT and has completely overhauled that defense. They are so much better on that side of the ball. And the Elf story is fantastic. I hope that you get a chance to ask him about that. So he was a receiver at Tech, and Mike Leach in a film session, he had like this massive block, and Mike Leach said, "That's an angry elf." And
angry elf.
He totally bought into it. He wore an elf like full costume, head to toe, to practice the next day, and it just blew up, becoming this huge elf thing.
Yeah, angry elf, and I guess Dana turned that into evil elf, which I was always a little curious. I mean, there's evil elf. That almost prompts ideas for a really scary, like Friday the 13th type series, the evil elf. But I'm glad to hear that with Mike Leach it was the angry elf, because that's a whole lot better. Angry's
evil.
better than evil any day.
Yeah. And maybe it was evil, and maybe I grabbed that from the Elf movie, but I like them both.
Yeah,
I like angry better. Okay.
So, Robert, it feels like one of the issues with Gundy, certainly towards the end, was the money piece, and you'd have a better sense of this than I would. But did Gundy alienate some of the money, and in doing so, is that coming back? Like, what's the NIL situation in your mind now that with Eric Morris?
Well, I'm going to guess it's going to be pretty good, because if it isn't, Eric Morris just made a mistake.
Yeah, right. Right.
You're dependent. I mean, you can be a great coach, have a great staff, have great guys going out and finding and recruiting the players. But if you can't, you can get them to the threshold, but the money gets them in the door. So we never really could find out exactly what the rev share situation. Rev share, we kind of knew it was around 15 million of the 20.5 for football. I don't think they used it all, from what I was told in the football, from the football part of it. On the NIL, supplemental NIL, I mean, I don't know what it was. You ask different people, you get different numbers. So it's hard to tell, and no one's really voluntarily putting out what their total, except maybe somebody like Texas Tech or Ohio State, people that, hey, we don't care how how much we're spending, because we're spending way more. I'll give you an interesting story. We all know the week of the Oregon game, Mike Gundy mentioned something about $40 million at Oregon, and everybody got upset, and Dan Lanning used it to fire up his team. They think we're just good because we spend the money. So I'm standing out there listening to Mike Gundy and Dan Lanning, the 50-yard line during warm-ups before the game, And Mike goes, hey, to Dan Lanning, he says, hey, if I caused problems, I'm sorry bringing it up. And he goes, oh, no, yeah, it was okay. He goes, Mike, you just gave me something to use to fire up my team. And which, I mean, and we saw in a few minutes how fired up they were, obviously. But then he said, by the way, you were off the mark. It was 42 million, not 40. So, I mean, again, if I'm going to trust Eric Morris, that was probably one of the first, if not the first questions he asked Chad Weiberg, and that Chad Weiberg gave him an answer that he can live with because he's going to need to.
So, talking with Robert Allen, Oklahoma State sideline reporter, retiring with the Cowboys radio network. He also writes for Pokes Report. As far as you know, Robert, was Eric Morris the number one choice for Oklahoma State? Where was he in terms of the pecking order? Because
play-by-play of the biggest leagues.
I know they
all
talked to
season
multiple
long.
guys.
I think, yeah, they did. I had Chad on my show Wednesday, the day after the announcement, which, by the way, it wasn't designed to come out last Tuesday, guys. This news wasn't. I'll give you another insight. This news was not supposed to come out until after Oklahoma State played Saturday. Sunday was the target day to roll this out, and depending on what his situation was, which we now know, they practiced. Yesterday was a Monday for the North Texas football team getting ready for Tulane in the American Conference Championship, which is a Friday night game, but it was not supposed to come out until both teams had played. Somehow it got out. My understanding in the coaching grapevine, you can throw the arrow at John Summerall at Tulane, and that he leaked it to some national reporters, and boom, it was out there. And you guys have heard what Eric said. He regrets it, but he immediately, Chad said this, he goes, we got a call from Eric. He said, this is out. Roll this out, everything but a press conference, and OSU did, release everything. He goes, Eric said, I'm meeting with my team because I'm gonna be transparent with them. And then Chad came over to practice, and I saw him meet with Rob Glass, and it was to tell him I need to talk to the players and coaches after practice in the team meeting room, and that's when they found out that the next head coach would be Eric Morris. But no, going back to this, I think there were 20 people, Chad told me, that were vetted. 20 people, probably 3 or 4 that they really got deep with. And I think when it came down to it, it was down to Eric Morris and Alex Golish at South Florida. And I think maybe one of the factors, no one told me this, I'm just going to say, when Alex hooked up with Jimmy Sexton, I think Chad probably was more favorable dealing with Eric Morris's agent, whoever he is. I mean, I've seen his name. Jimmy Sexton is the agent of the Stars, and I don't necessarily think Chad wanted to deal with the agent of the Stars.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I don't know who his agent is. It's not Jimmy Sexton. So
it's not Jimmy Sexton.
As a coach in college football, you're either represented by Jimmy Sexton or you're not. That's it.
Right.
That's the list.
There he is. And most of the guys that are represented by him are in the SEC.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you've caught it, Rob.
Which, by the way, Alex Golish is at Auburn now.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay.
By the way, I don't know if you caught this too. Eamon Agbagbamiga has been tearing it up for the Bears right now. They needed linebackers, and he's been playing well for the Bears. It's pretty wow.
No, there's a lot of guys that are defensively. Eamon at Chicago. And then Tyler Lacey, who was at Jacksonville for a couple of years and didn't really do much, is now with the Lions, and Dan Campbell loves him. He's been playing his butt off. So, yeah, some defensive guys are emerging to go along with the Jalen Warrens and Chuba Hubbards and those guys.
Yeah, who could have ever thought that, Mason Rudolph would be handing off to Jalen Warren in the National Football League game?
No, and I felt bad, for Mason. A lot of people think he may be the next starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. That interception yesterday was, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
But
Robert, I know what they say about assumptions, but I look at North Texas, and they have the nation's leading rusher among freshmen in Caleb Hawkins, who's also from Oklahoma, from Shawnee, Oklahoma. They have
North Rock Creek High School, little high school in Shawnee. Yeah.
Then they got Drew Mestamaker, who's a freshman quarterback, who's one of the best in the country as a freshman playing that position. Is your thought that a lot of these guys will potentially come with Coach Morris to Oklahoma State?
I think Oklahoma State fans are hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, because since you mentioned Mason Rudolph, and I think we had Taylor Cornelius after that, and Spencer Sanders, but especially since Spencer, the quarterback position's been kind of a unknown, and it's been a rotating situation. So yeah, and he's perfect for Eric Morris's system. That'll be up to. And here's the other thing. Somebody asked me, "Well, you think he's coming?" I said, "Well, I think there's probably a good chance, but you think there's some other schools out there that might make Drew Mestermaker some good offers? So you'll have to pay to get him." Funny thing is, you mentioned Chandler Morris early in the deal. He was here on a visit last December and was offered $700,000, and pretty much seemed like, well, that wasn't going to do it. He was scheduled to go to Virginia after his visit here, and at the airport, Mike Gundy offered him 1.1, and I think he kind of stutter stepped, but he got on that plane, ended up getting 1.4 at Virginia, and on Saturday, while Oklahoma State was finishing off a 1-11 season, and I'm not saying Chandler Morris would have made that kind of difference, but he might have made a good difference and more wins. But he was finishing off Virginia Tech and going to the ACC championship game. So I guess you could say Chandler Morris chose wisely.
Yeah, well said. Robert Allen, man, congrats on a long, successful tenure on the sidelines at Oklahoma State. Really happy for you, and love your stuff at pokesreport.com.
I appreciate it, guys, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You saw that Big 12 hat. That was a gift from the Big 12 officials, and I also got the coin from the coin toss on Saturday, and made a lot of good friends at the Big 12, and obviously with you guys and other media. And guess what? I'm still going to do the radio show. I'll still be at Big 12 Media Days, and I'll be around. You haven't completely gotten rid of me yet. So
That's great.
Awesome.
We don't want you to go anywhere. So appreciate your time, buddy. Great to talk with you. It's been too long.
all right, see you guys. Thanks.
Take care.
Robert Allen, R. Allen Go Pokes, on social media, on Twitter, on X, writes for pokesreport.com, sideline reporter for the radio network, joining us from Edmond to get the inside scoop on Eric Morris, headed to Oklahoma State. He'll be the next coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys after he finishes the season with North Texas. Coming up next, we'll take a look at the final week of the regular season, the national picture, what this means for BYU, and, man, the Lane Kiffin stuff is bananas. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios. 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. Also streaming on your screen on Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast Channel. Our Big 12 game of the week is the Big 12 Championship game on Saturday. John Pardee will perform at halftime. The marching bands from BYU and Texas Tech, because that is the matchup. They'll also join in on the fun. You can get tickets at SeatGeek.com, also Big12Sports.com to link you there. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Just had Robert Allen, who's hanging it up after 30-plus years on the sidelines, the Oklahoma State sideline reporter and writer at PokesReport.com. Had some great stuff on the Eric Morris hire for Oklahoma State. Speaking of hires, Lane Kiffin headed to LSU. Ole Miss in the college football playoff. One-loss team. Defensive coordinator gets promoted as the interim head coach. Man, this situation is nuts. Fans outside love the video you sent us last night of fans screaming their heads off.
Yeah, there were a bunch of Ole Miss fans that went by the fence at the airport to boo Lane Kiffin as he got his private jet and flew away before interviewing with Marty McGee from ESPN.
They even put his clothes in the street. Like his wire rack of suit jackets and dress shirts that he kept at his office. Didn't take them with him. They put them in the street. Ole Miss is big mad about Lane Kiffin leaving for LSU. He's getting a $90 million deal.
Yeah, it's this was a saga that you and I did not spend a ton of time talking about because it didn't exactly involve us or the Big 12. It was strictly SEC. But Kiffin enjoyed this whole saga as much as anybody. And, it was obvious, I think, over the last few weeks that it was going to be LSU. And that he wasn't going to be staying at Ole Miss because you figured the whole reason Ole Miss told him that he had to make a decision by the Egg Bowl was guided by the fact that Ole Miss didn't think that they were going to be able to retain him. So, the Ole Miss LSU games moving forward are going to be fantastic. Ole Miss has been pretty irrelevant overall in college football at large. This is probably the greatest season they've ever had, and they have a coach walk out the front door. Amazingly. And there's just so many other pieces to this that just are puzzling, including, again, the prospect of going to a school to win a national championship while a team you're already coaching that you believe can't win a national title is as close as anybody is to winning that title. So, Lane Kiffin has had some crazy endings to jobs. When you think about, being pulled off the tarmac at USC and, Al Davis, when he fired him initially, there's just some wild stories. Talking about staying at Tennessee and then going to, and then going to the Raiders. Just a bunch of crazy situations that have seen Lane Kiffin have just like maybe we should power rank Lane Kiffin's top 5 exits this week. Like that. That's just how wild it's been.
Man, and he is really good at playing the victim. He wanted to coach his players in the college football playoff, but the athletic director said no. So it's on the AD, the reason why he's
players,
not
do you want to play for him if you know he's leaving?
Man, that's a good question. I think it just depends on what the relationship is like, which after the fact we find out. Lane Kiffin was, after the reports started to surface that he was gone. Players are looking for him at the football facility, and he's still there. And he's hiding from the leadership council at Ole Miss, which is a collection of veteran players that want an explanation. And he won't talk to them. He's disappearing behind closed doors. And really, that was what set this whole thing on fire inside the building. And the athletic director, Keith Carter, I believe, says, no, you're not coaching. You're not coaching our guys. Get out of here. If you're leaving, you're gone. We're moving forward. And then Lane Kiffin counters with telling his assistant coaches, if you're not on this plane at the airport, you don't have a job when I land in Baton Rouge at LSU. He's saying it's now or never. And credit to the Ole Miss staff who held their ground, and they're going to coach this football team the rest of the way. But there are so many layers of how not to go out and how to make it all about Lane.
Well, that's Lane Kiffin, right? It's all about Lane. And look, he's been very successful at Ole Miss, but he's had a lot of other slip-ups previously. So, now the pressure is on him. But, look, the reality is, Mark Stoops got fired after 13 seasons at Kentucky. including multiple 10-win seasons. But the whole thing with Mark Stoops, when there were rumors that he was going to leave, like after 2021 when they go 10-3 and win the Citrus Bowl, there were rumors about would he take a better job, and it was like, why would he leave Kentucky? He's got such great job security. And you look up, he went 82-80 overall in 162 games in 13 seasons, including the last 2, which were pretty bad, 4-8 and 5-7. So the other side of that is, you either grow to be a beloved and have great longevity, or you get to a point where at Kentucky the standard is a little bit higher and the need is a little bit higher. Kansas, think about Kansas and where the conversations are around Lance Leipold this week. I'm assuming Leipold's going to be back. We probably would have heard already if he wasn't, but he's firmly on the hot seat. This is 2 years removed from him potentially looking at the Wisconsin job. So, on the other hand, I get it. If you're a coach, you've got to strike while the iron's hot. And I just think there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and Lane definitely did the wrong way. It's also worth noting, too, from a Big 12 perspective, Kenny Dillingham certainly doesn't look like he's going to be leaving Arizona State, but Kalani Sitake is now, I guess, the betting odds favorite to be the next head coach at Penn State. And there's some rumors that he's taken some flights to Penn State. Maybe he did that in order to get a raise. There could be a situation in which Penn State can offer him more money, I would imagine, than BYU could offer. Maybe not, but he's a BYU alumnus. It feels like he's in BYU for the long haul, so we'll see what happens there.
He will get a raise. He will get a contract extension. BYU is low-key one of the top programs in the country when it comes to NIL. There's no reason why they can't support their football team like they are basketball, which they have fully committed on the hardwood when it comes to NIL. No way Kalani Sitake is leaving BYU for Penn State. That would stun me more than anything else in college football across the landscape. Now, Lane Kiffin puts Ole Miss in a really tough spot because all these coaching hires over the weekend, and it's like, where's Penn State at? And now, what will Ole Miss do? Do they hire the defensive coordinator to be their football coach, at least in the interim next season, or who do they go after now? Because a lot of the group of 5 guys are off the board. Eric Morris, Alex Golesh, John Sumrall from Tulane goes to Florida. So I walked in here this morning and I said, what is Penn State doing? And that's when we got into the Kalani Sitake talk, which just doesn't make any sense to me. I would be more surprised if they hired him than I would Matt Campbell ending up at Penn State.
Yeah, and it looks like Pete Golding has actually been hired full-time as the Ole Miss coach. So he's not just the interim, the defensive coordinator, Pete
So they
Golding.
moved quick.
Yeah, he is, according to On3, he's been hired as the full-time coach. And Golding, this is a dude that was worked on the defensive side of football under Nick Saban for a period of time when Lane Kiffin was there. So he was kind of always thought as being a potential head coaching candidate. So we'll see how it goes for him at Ole Miss.
And Kentucky hired Oregon's offensive coordinator, who is a young up-and-comer. Colin Klein is still on the board, the Texas A&M offensive coordinator. The SEC, Big 12, the SEC bias, just to put all of it in perspective, Ole Miss is going to be in the college football playoff. They only have 1 loss. They've got quality wins.
Yeah, but should they, in the same way that Florida State got held out of the playoff with their quarterback injury, should the coaching situation be taken into account when it comes to the playoff?
I think in this case it would be unfair to the players. I do.
Yeah, but in the same way it was to Florida State.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not trying to say it's the right move. I'm simply saying there's a precedent here.
Yep.
Maybe that was just for the 4-team playoff, and so that was its own dynamic. But, man, if you're Florida State, you got to be thinking, that's rough. We got held out of the playoff because of an injury at our quarterback. Ole Miss is going to make the playoff even though their coach is gone.
Yeah. And I think, Ole Miss has as many losses as BYU, right? And BYU's played a tougher schedule. Iowa State and Tennessee, by the way, are both going to finish the season 8-4. Iowa State has 6 wins over teams who are going to play in a bowl game. Tennessee has none. Yet we think about Tennessee as a quality win for these SEC teams. And then ESPN, and this is blown up on social, and rightfully so, ESPN had a graphic, a resume comparison over the weekend. And it had Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, and Vanderbilt, all teams with 2 losses. But where's BYU? BYU's not even on the graphic. And they're talking bubble watch. Who's going to get that last at-large bid? Who are going to get two of the three bids out there between Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, and Vanderbilt. BYU's not even on the graphic, and they have one less loss than all of these teams.
Well, think about Texas A&M, who lost to Texas. Texas A&M played one team in the top half of the SEC and got absolutely stomped. 7 wins for A&M were against teams in the SEC with losing records, including a combined 11-41. 4 wins versus teams that fired their coach in season, and a loss to a team with a winning SEC record. So, I mean, basically all of their wins came against teams that were at the bottom of the SEC, and 4 of those came against teams that then fired their coach, including Arkansas, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Auburn, Florida, LSU, and Mizzou. So,
man, like, I know the metrics have BYU, which BYU has risen since they basically when we and BYU and everybody else realized that style points matter in the eyes of the committee. BYU started scoring in big ways. They had the style points. I mean, they blast UCF. They blasted Cincinnati. And all of a sudden, they've gone from like mid-40s to the top 20 when it comes to all the ESPN analytical metrics. Their strength of record is 6th in the country. They have one loss, and it's to a team that's going to be in the college football playoff. So I saw this note that somebody went back and they looked at the lowest-ranked Power 4 team with one loss. 2025, it's BYU. They're probably going to be number 11. Indiana last year was number 8. Alabama was number 8 the year before.
Wow.
The year before that, Ohio State was number 4. The year before that, Notre Dame was number 5. Nobody was ranked lower than 8, and it was the last 2 years Indiana and Alabama. The average ranking was number 6. The lowest-ranked team with one loss, and BYU is going to be outside the top 10.
well, and there's some complicatedness. This is very complicated. All right, so Miami is not going to be the highest-ranked ACC team. Virginia plays Duke in the ACC championship game. If Duke were to win, there's a possibility, because of the fact that it's the top 5 highest-ranked conference champs, there's a chance the ACC would not get an automatic bid, that the automatic qualifiers would go to the group. 2 of them would go to the group of 6, because if Duke wins the ACC championship, they could potentially be lower than another conference champion. So Miami, you almost want Duke to win the ACC championship if you're a Big 12 fan, because that gives Miami a bid for the ACC, but otherwise the ACC may get 2 bids with Virginia and Miami, potentially, if Virginia wins. So that really complicates things. Tulane and North Texas feels like a play-in game for one of those spots, but Tulane is going to be without their head coach. Eric Morris obviously on his way out, so both of those coaches coaching in that. Is it USF or is it Tulane USF or Tulane North Texas in the AAC championship?
It's Tulane North Texas.
That's what I thought. Okay. So yeah, I mean, and the top 3 teams in the AAC are all losing their coach, and Summerall, Golesh, and Eric Morris. So it's just very complicated right now. Like, there's a lot of balls in the air in terms of how many teams the SEC going to get in, how many will the Big Ten get in, and then what about Duke if Duke ends up winning the ACC, and if Virginia wins, does that mean 2 bids for the ACC? It's just there's a lot going on right now.
I mean, if North Texas beats Tulane, they're 12-1. If James Madison wins their Sun Belt championship, they're 12-1.
So those 2 would be in, and I think Duke would be out if Duke were to win the ACC championship.
Because what's Duke's record? 7-5. They're 7-5 playing in the ACC championship.
Meanwhile, Miami is like 13th ranked, and they're not going to sniff the ACC championship game. It's pretty wild.
Man, what a year.
ACC is not good. By the way, Kenny Dillingham put this on Instagram this morning.
Love it.
It's a Denzel Washington quote. It's just a screenshot from Kenny Dillingham's Instagram story. Beware of destination addiction. The idea that happiness is in the next place, the next job, or even with the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. That's what Dillingham put on social media yesterday. Maybe an ode to Lane Kiffin, perhaps?
And he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Dillingham. All right, coming up next year on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, hear from the coaches and players. It's Big 12 chatter as we start kind of digesting all 16 teams, Big 12 big picture. How did the regular season shake out for these programs? You'll hear from the head coaches after this. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo here on TuneIn. Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio. Brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. Heard exclusively on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Alongside Ari Timken on social at Ari Sports. That's ARI Sports. I'm James Westling. On social at James Westling. Modelo fan rules. Rule number 15, Ari. Off-season optimism is mandatory.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
I mean, just talk to us in August, right? I mean, this time of year, as you pick up the pieces, and I'd love to spend some time doing that big picture, talk about all these programs where they are. You know, there's probably a level of optimism and pessimism and everything in between. But fast forward to August, and these rosters are built, and there's probably been some coaching changes with coordinators and reshuffling. And, I mean, you're not going to find – I mean, we do this exercise every July and August. We look at, like, the over-under win totals. It's like, oh, they'll hit the over, right? I mean, there's just optimism reigns supreme. And as we see, like, Colorado and West Virginia and UCF and Kansas and Baylor and Oklahoma State, things can go horribly awry. Or in the case of Houston or Arizona, things can go from really bad to really good.
The final Big 12 standings, Texas Tech and BYU are in the Big 12 championship game this Saturday. You'll hear it here on Big 12 Radio. Both those teams go 8-1 in Big 12 play. Then Utah finishes locked in at number 3 at 7-2. Arizona, Houston, and Arizona State, a three-way tie for 4th at 6-3. And then the following went 5-4. Iowa State, TCU, Cincinnati, Kansas State. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to all 16 teams and how they should feel about their seasons. But let's start with Cincinnati, because Cincinnati finishes 7-5. They lose their last 4 games to end the regular season. They were 7-1. They were in the driver's seat to maybe play in the Big 12 championship game. Here's what Scott Satterfield said about losing 4 straight games to end the regular season.
What do you say to people that say, you know, he lost 5 straight last year, Dan, and 4 straight this year? Obviously, you can't be happy that they're not.
Nobody's happy we lose. You know, these teams here, these last 4, and this is the case last year. The last 4 teams we just played, 3 of them are all ranked, and this is the 8 wins, 8-4. So, I mean, it's not like we're losing to bad teams. You know, these are really good football teams that we felt like we had an opportunity, a chance to beat. Did not play well enough. You know, we're not good enough to make mistakes and still go win. Our program's not at that point yet. But you got to find a way to go win. We got to do a great job in our recruiting, in the portal for next season to continue to enhance our roster and continue to get better. We got to look at our scheme and figure out what can we do better in that regard as well.
All right, Cincy will be in a bowl game for the first time since 2022. The Scott Satterfield era, they've gone 3-9, 5-7, 7-5. But, man, they had a chance to really break through this season and finish with 8, 9, maybe even 10 wins.
Yeah, and it's sort of funny because what Scott Satterfield just said there is, yeah, we played good teams. We can't beat good teams, right? I mean, that's what he said, and he's not wrong. I mean, here are the conference wins they had before November. At Kansas, Iowa State, when Iowa State was in their 4-game slide, and they only won by 8. UCF at Oklahoma State and Baylor. They closed with Utah, Arizona, BYU, TCU. Lost all of those games to the best 4 teams they had to play all season. So he's not wrong, but it's just an interesting thing for a coach to say following another disappointing November. They have lost 10 of 11 games in November. I mean, that's dreadful. Mm-hmm. And I would say if you would have told me they're going to go 7-5 before the season started, I would have said, good year for Cincinnati.
Agreed.
But, like, given how the season plays out, like Kansas State's less surprising given how the season played out. Baylor's not that surprising given how the season played out. But Cincinnati, with the way the season was playing out, had everything in front of them. With one conference loss, they were cruising, and they just completely and utterly fell apart in the biggest moments of their season. They went 0-18 under Scott Satterfield and had been 0-18 under Scott Satterfield when losing at halftime. I would think next year is a big year for Cincinnati in terms of Scott Satterfield because he's definitely on the hot seat for me going into next season. He did enough to keep his job this year, but if I see another winless November, there's no chance he could be back in 2027.
And it's the way they lost these games. I mean, Utah beat them 45-14. Arizona was close, but they trailed the entire game. They were playing catch-up. They lost by 2 scores to BYU. Then they give up 45 a season high against TCU, lose 45-23. I mean, they weren't close in 3 of the 4 losses to end the regular season. They lost in blowout fashion.
And I think on the other side of that, TCU finishing 8-4, in some ways it feels disappointing overall. But I mean, their one bad loss to me was at K-State. Other than that, at Arizona State, Iowa State, and then BYU to close out the season. I mean, maybe the Iowa State loss was bad too, but it feels like TCU had such a roller coaster season, so up and down. And while you could look and say, well, Sonny Dykes on the hot seat, whatever, maybe he is, but still 8-4 with a chance to win 9 games. They have some things to figure out in terms of their running ability and the defensive side of the ball. I think that continued to hamper them, but at least I feel better about TCU heading out of the season than I do Cincinnati.
Let's pivot and talk about Arizona, who finishes 9-3 and 6-3 in the Big 12. They're part of that 3-way tie for 4th place. And here's their head coach, Brent Brennan, who is our Coach of the Week, both of us, on our Big 12 Today weekly awards after their win against Arizona State.
This game means more. This game means more to everybody than any other game. It is more important to our players and our coaches. It's more important to our university, to our fans, our community. And so to come up here and get the win was just incredible. And I'm excited because now the Territorial Cup gets to come back to Tucson, Arizona, where I think all of us Wildcats feel like it belongs. So bear down.
And remember, Arizona fans, that game means so much to their fan base that he could have gone 6-6. But if he won that game, he's good for next year. He goes 9-3, and now all of a sudden the fans down in Tucson feel very different about him and his future and the excitement surrounding this program.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think both Arizona and Arizona State have to feel good about the state of their programs heading out of this game. I mean, it's Arizona State to think about an 8-4 season being a huge disappointment. I mean, that is a far cry from where this program was when Dillingham was hired. So I think it speaks to the level that's expected for this program. And the fact that they won 8 games with Jeff Sims having to start for a good chunk of the year, especially down the stretch, speaks to just culturally how good Arizona State is. And then on the other side, I mean, Arizona last year lost 49-7 at home to Arizona State to finish a 4-8 season. A year later, they go on the road and beat Arizona State, get 9 wins. I think this justifies a lot of the success from 2023 when Jed Fish leaves the program, because now some of those same players who we wondered if they were good enough last year prove that this year. So, I'd say this heads into a really optimistic offseason for Brent Brennan in Arizona. They obviously have their bowl game. Both teams do. And I'd say the same for Arizona State, though we'll see big picture what the Sam Leavitt situation is.
Down in Waco, Baylor finishes the season 5-7.
Yeah, this ain't good.
3-6 in Big 12 play. They lost their last 3 games of the regular season, which means they finished 11th in the Big 12 16-team conference. And it went from bad to worse over the weekend. That recruiting class that was ranked in the top 25, a big reason why Dave Aranda was retained for next season. Their highest-rated recruit from this class just flipped.
4-star cornerback Jamarian Vincent goes from Baylor to Michigan. And Shahan Jayaraj, our buddy from CBS Sports, tweets, if I'm calculating right, Baylor's recruiting class has fallen from number 27 to number 52 in just about 72 hours. And if Jordan Clay flips as well, it'll fall into the 60s. So they've had some big-time losses in terms of commitments. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say what's happened to Baylor football since Linda Livingstone announced that Dave Aranda would be back has not been good. They've lost 2 games and then have had a ton of commitments leave the program. So, we'll see what happens when Baylor finally hires an athletic director. I'd imagine he comes in and says, I'm going to evaluate the entire program. I'd imagine Dave Aranda's coaching his last season at Baylor this upcoming season. It's a lame duck year. It's the wrong decision if you're Baylor, given, again, like at this point, what do you have to lose? You're already hemorrhaging commits. So, it was the wrong decision that Linda Livingstone said, and it's only been verified in 2 straight losses and now losing a ton of commitments. There's a ton of apathy towards Baylor football right now. Ton of apathy. And if you look at the other side, Houston, Baylor should be where Houston is. 9 wins, going for a 10th in a bowl game instead they go 5-7. With the talent and the money and the facilities that Baylor has, they lose to a team that's 9 wins in Houston, and that should be Baylor.
and they're completely starting over next year in terms of the players that they'll have because Sawyer Robertson is out of eligibility. Here's what he said reflecting on his Baylor career, the quarterback.
I don't know if it's fully hit me, either one of us, but me for sure. I don't know if it's fully hit us. But, yeah, just all the highs and lows. I think over the past 3 years I got here in 2023 when, like, the whole entire landscape of college athletics was changing, basically. And obviously it was a rough adjustment that year. For us, won 3 games, and so I mean, you always want to leave. You always want to leave places better than when you found it when you got here, both on and off the football field. And even though the season was what it was this year, tried my hardest to do that. And so, at the very least, I think just showing that fight, showing the grit, toughness, no matter the result. Hopefully that is the foundation that is laid for the future. Years to come with Baylor football. And even though Josh and I aren't going to be the ones that are celebrating any kind of conference championships or playoff berths, hopefully we can look back one day and say that, we played a role into kind of laying the foundation when everything changed kind of in 2023.
And that Josh that he's talking about is wide receiver Josh Cameron. I mean, on paper, Robertson had just as good, if not better, of a season that he had last year. Averaged over 300 yards passing. Cameron was fantastic, but Baylor loses 4 of their last 5 games, and they got drubbed in 2 of their last 3 by Utah and Arizona. Then they lose at home on Senior Day against Houston over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't blame Sawyer Robertson for this season. I mean, he certainly put up some big-time numbers. I think the biggest difference between last year and this year with Sawyer was, and not just with Sawyer, but the offense overall, would be the running ability. Sawyer Robertson completed 304 of 504 passes, 60% completion percentage, 3,600 yards. So in the last 2 seasons of Baylor as a starter, he throws for 6,700 yards and what is that? 59 touchdowns to go along with 20 interceptions. So a ton of attempts, high completion percentage, high yardage, lots of touchdowns. I just think the biggest thing this year compared to last year was running. He wasn't as effective, and Baylor wasn't as effective running the football. He had, 17 rushing yards this season overall and 3 touchdowns on the ground as opposed to 230 last year.
It's a lot more sacks and a lot fewer scrambles from Robertson.
Yep.
Let's hear one more. Iowa State, Matt Campbell and Rocco Becht, they reflect on their 8-4 regular season campaign. Matt Campbell, by the way, earned his 50th Big 12 win. He joins Bob Stoops, Mike Gundy, Bill Snyder, and Mac Brown as the only coaches to reach that milestone. He is in elite company, and here's those 2 guys after the win over the Pokes.
This team, the challenges, the adversity that it faced, to start off the way we did with some of the unique challenges that we had never faced. And then to, almost be paralyzed a little bit after that Arizona game, which is some of the things, and it just became a roller coaster of challenges. And for this group to never waver, never flinch, and actually just keep getting better through it is incredible. What a great testament to their belief and their ability to stay the course. And, they've given themselves a chance to do what very few teams here at Iowa State have done. And they got a chance to do something that, only 5 teams in the history of the school have done, because their ability to stay the course and not waver. And so I'm really proud of it. It's really what I feel like our program has always stood for. And to be able to see it come to life with this team was really awesome.
We're going to look back at the season, and there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, but man, I'm super proud of this team because, it's really hard to go through a 4-game losing streak and come back and win 3 games in a row. And I think with a team that has a bunch of injuries on it, we're dealing with a lot of stuff. And for the guys that continue to come to the facility and want to work and want to get better, that shows a lot about the people that we have here in this program. And, it's not going to stop there. We're going to continue to win. And I have no doubt that when we go to this bowl game, everybody's going to be ready for that game because we want to get that 9th win. I think we would be the 4th team in Iowa State history to have 9 wins in a season. And it feels like the outside world makes us feel like we have 5 wins. And so I think for us to stay in the facility, for us to focus on each other and know how special this season has been for us during the ups and downs is something that we're going to look back on for a while.
I think that's really well said. I mean, I get that Iowa State was up to number 12 in the AP Top 25 back in September after they started 5-0. But I think Matt Campbell said it best. We were paralyzed by the injuries, losing their entire secondary. To finish the season, winning your last 3, 2 of them on the road, that's hard to do if you're anybody. And now I think Iowa State's season all of a sudden looks very different than it did just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, I think, this is the floor for Iowa State in terms of 5 seasons of 8+ wins for Iowa State and 10 years with Matt Campbell as the head coach. And you got to give him a couple of those years early on when he's building the program. When you look at it where it's been the last 5-6 years, I mean, you're looking at a much higher rate than 50%. I think that's the key here is, this was not the greatest season that Iowa State has ever had. It was not what they expected, given they played for the Big 12 championship last year in preseason expectations. But I think, obviously the 4 losses in the middle of the season there completely derailed any opportunity to play for a Big 12 championship. It's obvious they could not rebound quick enough after losses to the cornerback position, in the same way they did the linebackers. So, but again, I think like big picture, this is a tremendous year for Iowa State, given the injuries, that they still were able to get to 8 wins and potentially 9 wins now. Matt Campbell is an incredible program builder, and this is another one of those seasons where you're like, oh, wow, Iowa State, ho-hum, 9 wins, 8-4, potential for 9 wins in the bowl.
Just another 8 or 9 win season in Ames. We'll keep this conversation rolling. Big 12 hierarchy is up next. Bowl edition. Who's going bowling? Who's not? It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. He's Ari. I'm James. We're also on your screen on Big 12 Studios and Big12Studios.com. And we are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo here on TuneIn. alongside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, watched on Big 12 Studios and Big12Studios.com. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. Going through the Big 12 hierarchy when it comes to college football. We've got some basketball to touch on, also TCU women's soccer with a remarkable run that continues. They reach uncharted territory for the first time in school history. They're headed to the NCAA Women's Soccer College Cup. They took down top seed Vanderbilt Saturday night in Nashville 2-1. So their run continues. We'll break that all down here in about 15. But Big 12 football, when it comes to teams that will be in a bowl, we've got 3, we've got 6, we've got 9, 10 teams, which is one more than last year.
That's right. They were sitting at 9 with 3 potentially to get to that 6th win this weekend, and only 1 ended up doing it. Kansas and Baylor both lost. K-State wins, so that's the 10th team.
So let's look at some potential bowl matchups. A lot of this will be dictated by what happens with BYU. Because if BYU goes to the college football playoff, then it kind of changes the pecking order.
And we'll have a better sense tomorrow night when the latest CFP rankings are released. But it looks more and more like BYU has to win in order to get in, and will not get in even with a loss to Texas Tech, as egregious as that may be based on their resume. The question is then, does Texas Tech still get in even with a loss to BYU? We'll see. But I think tomorrow's rankings will go a long way in helping to figure out how this thing will shake out, because Miami is still very much in play. We know Notre Dame, A&M, Ole Miss, so it'd be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out.
Texas Tech is projected to be, tomorrow night when the playoff rankings come out, Texas Tech is projected to be the 4 seed. So would you knock a team that's projected to have a bye and be in the top 4 because they lost their conference championship game to a team that's just outside the top 10 and only has 1 loss? If that's any other league, they don't move more than a spot or 2.
If it's any other school, I mean, you got to call a spade here. Clearly, BYU is being punished for being BYU. Right? If any other team has the same record and the same resume, they're top 5, top 10 at a minimum in the playoff. But it's BYU, and so they're not. That's just what it is. If you look at blind resumes, like Notre Dame's doesn't stand up anywhere near BYU. I mean, even Texas A&M. If Texas A&M loses in the SEC championship game, are they still in? Should they be?
What is the SEC championship? It's Texas A&M and Alabama?
Georgia and Bama.
Georgia and Bama.
I did not realize. I thought it was Texas A&M and Bama. Thank you.
Texas A&M, yeah, that loss to Texas knocked them out of the conference championship game, which probably does them a favor.
Yeah.
It did, because they played such a bad SEC schedule. Like you were bringing up earlier, they don't have quality wins, so the tiebreaker of the strength of your schedule, A&M's loss booted them out.
Wow.
The win that has Texas A&M solidified in the field is a non-conference win against Notre Dame week 2.
Yep.
That's it.
And it helps to justify Notre Dame's existence in the playoff, too. What a great loss. Who cares about these wins and how good your wins are? I'm looking at how good your losses are. Notre Dame has the best losses. Notre Dame's losses are so good. Could you imagine having such great losses?
And then Sark after the Texas A&M game saying, it would be I don't remember the exact words he used, but it would be a disservice to college football if we aren't in the playoff. Bro, you're 9-3.
You lost to Florida. If you wanted to be in the playoff, you shouldn't have lost to Florida.
You didn't beat anybody good. Also, I'm watching that game. I'm like, these teams aren't that good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
These teams just aren't it.
Do you guys want to hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Thank you, Producer Will.
To the committee.
Well, I think this. If you really look at the body of work and you look at the Southeastern Conference and what we have to go through every week, you look at the non-conference schedule we play to go to Ohio State in week 1 and lose by 7 when we outgained them by nearly 200 yards. We got a really good football team, and it would be a disservice to our sport if this team's not a playoff team when we went and scheduled that non-conference game. Because if we're a 10-2 team, it's not a question. But we were willing to go play that game. So is that what college football is about? Don't play anybody and just have a good record, or play the best and put the best teams in the playoff, and we're one of the best teams.
A disservice. Bro, you beat a one-armed John Mateer Oklahoma team on a neutral field. You beat Vanderbilt at home, had to come from behind, I might add. I'm pretty sure they outgained you by 200 yards and you won the game. Won at Mississippi State. Oh, that overtime win at Kentucky. College football playoff resume worthy.
And then on top of that, if you guys want to hear it, Sataki was asked about Sark's comments, if you guys want to hear.
I do.
Coach Sarkisian, after their win, said it would be a disservice to college football to leave Texas out. And not for you to comment on Texas, but why should BYU be considered over teams like those other bubble teams for a spot in the playoffs?
I don't know if it's maybe it needs to get more teams. I have no idea. And the difficulty is that there's teams that are going to be playing in a championship game and others that aren't. Maybe everyone should play a game. Maybe everybody should match up, and those that are. It would have been nice for us last year to play in a game, and even though Iowa State and Arizona State were playing the championship game, I don't think we're against that. So I don't have all the answers, and I can't really speak on the other teams. But there's a lot of really good football teams out there in all the conferences, and so I do like the system that is now because it allows more to play in it rather than when it was, a computer telling us the final two. And so we're in a much better spot now, but maybe it should expand more. And I don't know if it'll ever get to what basketball is doing, but there's some really cool things that I think all the smart people like all of you guys will figure it out. And there's like playing games and all that stuff in basketball. I mean, let's look at everybody that does tournaments and see what we can do. I have no idea, but there's great teams all over the place. Sark's a friend of mine, so I know what he's capable of doing as a coach. I can only speak for my team and what we can do. And there's a lot of teams that deserve to play in it, and I think we're one of them.
Conference championship game tournaments, which has been discussed. I mean, they blast TCU 44-13, go on the road and beat a Cincinnati team that at the time was in the top 25 by 2 touchdowns in their own backyard.
I mean,
and then they beat UCF by 20.
Part of this thing is lobbying. I mean, what Sark did, is egregious as it might be, is a part of playing this game, and Kalani just refuses to do it. And, good, bad, or whatever, you've got to lobby. And that's just not in Sataki's DNA. And so, you got to take the good with the bad in terms of Sataki, because I only say that because it's like the bad part of this is his unwillingness to lobby for his team at 11-1. I mean, this is who he is through and through. I mean, he is an incredible person. But basically, there's a ton of deserving teams, and he's not wrong. And that's the thing that I think sucks about this entire process, is the way it has us arguing against teams that are legitimately good. It's just on us then to prove that they're not as good as some of these other teams. And so all it does is, denigrate teams, which again is not in Sataki's DNA. BYU has had an incredible 2-year run here. They should be a playoff team based on what they've done this season, and not have anything to do with last year. But that's not going to be the case. And part of it is because they don't have a coach who's willing to lobby.
If Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama's going to have 3 losses. 3 losses, 2 more than BYU. All right, Ari, I want to get into the Ari meter. Okay, I'm going to give you potential bowl matchups, and you give me on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is your super excited best bowl matchup in the history of bowl games. 1 is it's a dud. You give me a number for some of these, okay?
Okay.
LA Bowl. Arizona State against UNLV on Saturday, December 13th.
Love it. It's got Arizona State in it, yes?
Yeah, Arizona State and UNLV.
Yeah.
I mean, the matchup for these Big 12 teams.
And that one, the LA Bowl is at SoFi, yes?
Yep, it's at SoFi. Be a cool environment.
Sign me up.
Okay, sign me up. That's like what, an 8? 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
1 to
7.5.
7.5. I knew you'd be a tough grader. All right, let's find some more Big 12 teams. Man, there are a lot of stinkers when it comes to bowl games. Here we go. The Rate Bowl. How about a Cincinnati Northwestern matchup or a Cincinnati Penn State at Chase Field in Phoenix? If you're Cincinnati, what's the number?
This is going to be a low number. I'm going to say 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, number one, it's a baseball field, and of all of the notations on a grab-ass bowl game, if your team comes out on the sideline through a dugout, that's a grab-ass bowl game, and that via my buddy Dave Archer. used to have a criteria for grab-ass bowl games, and one of them was if you come out of a dugout, you're in a grab-ass bowl game. So
Yeah, that's a
the
grab-ass
rate bowl,
game.
3.5.
Okay, 3.5. All
Well,
right.
Cincinnati trending down. Penn State, I guess they're trending up. No, this is
I didn't even know Penn State was bowl eligible. That's
Yeah.
news to me.
seriously.
All right, the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl here in Dallas. They're playing this one at the SMU Stadium. 8 p.m. ESPN on December 26th. Wait for this banger. Kansas State potentially against Texas State. G.J. Kinney and the Bobcats. Excitement meter.
Very high.
Very high.
Extremely high. You get to see your K-State Wildcats home game. A lot of K-State fans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Plus, you get a really good up-and-coming young program, young coach. Good opportunity here for if you're Kansas State, too, and the rest of the Big 12 to scout, do some advanced scouting for guys you may want to add in the transfer portal at Texas State.
Yeah, I like that.
So I'll give this one a 7.5.
Yeah, that's a pretty good matchup, actually. Pop-Tarts Bowl, Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Florida. Houston, as of now, is dialed into that one. They would play either Miami or Georgia Tech. I'm all in.
This would be a great, really good bowl game. It always is. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, they do a great job in branding it. Yeah, this is an 8.
Okay. How about the Kinders Texas Bowl at NRG Stadium in Houston, where the Texans play? Potentially Iowa State against Tulane or TCU against North Texas. Looks like it's going to be a Big 12 team against an American team.
TCU North Texas would get me really amped up.
Yeah, that'd be an awesome game.
Because it's the Battle of Dallas in Houston to a degree. The Battle of the DFW Metroplex in Houston. So that would be a 7.5. Iowa State versus Tulane would be about a 5.
Okay.
In the excitement meter.
Excitement meter. All right. Now, ESPN is predicting that BYU gets left out of the college football playoff, which means they would be headed once again to the Alamo Bowl at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. They would play, how about this, though? They would play USC, who's dialed into that spot. BYU, USC in the Alamo?
Yeah, I'd like that one a lot. That would be an 8.5 to me. That's a really big game, and especially when you look at Lincoln Riley and his history with OU in the Big 12. Yeah, I love that one. 8.5.
All right. We've got Utah locked into the Las Vegas Bowl, it would appear, at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas against either Iowa or Illinois.
Yeah, if it's Iowa,
it's not as exciting.
Let's call this one a 7. It's a Vegas bowl game, so
right.
That's fun.
How far is Salt Lake City from Vegas? You go out there all the time.
Yeah, just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Is it?
Sure.
I trust you.
A couple of jumps.
Okay.
A couple of skips.
We've got the Liberty Bowl, which will feature either Iowa State or TCU, whoever's not in the other bowl we just talked about, against like a Cal or a Memphis.
Yeah. That one's lower.
A little bit lower.
Maybe 4.5.
4.5, okay. All right, I got one more. Arizona. Brent Brennan, 9-3.
Holiday Bowl. 10. San
Diego against either SMU or Pitt.
9.5.
SMU or Pitt, those don't excite you?
No. But one last opportunity for the Big 12 to stick it to the ACC, so I'm all in on that.
Yeah, here for that. That's an ACC Big 12 matchup in that one. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Coming up next, we dive into some men's basketball, touch on the women. Also,
what a weekend in the Big 12 for hoops.
Oh, I've been dreading this. Been dreading it.
Everybody but K-State had a huge weekend.
K-State's fine. Back off. But Kansas is back. They are so back.
So back.
They're back. And we're back after this. Back inside Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Will Connerly is filling in for T-Change this week, producing and engineering our program. Shout out to Anthony Smith, who does all the behind-the-scenes work on Big 12 Studios. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. We are coming to you on your screen via Big 12 Studios, on audio via TuneIn, brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. Modelo fan rule number 15, optimism is mandatory. Off-season optimism is mandatory. College basketball optimism is mandatory when it comes to Kansas. KU goes 3-0 at the Players era. Man, the Big 12 it's not even close this year. The Big 12 is the best conference in men's basketball. You look at what happened last week with Baylor beating Creighton, Kansas going 3-0 at the Players era, including a win over Syracuse. Iowa State goes 3-0. They beat Syracuse by 30 after they beat Creighton by 20 the night before. Houston loses a close one to Tennessee, but then even just the other day, you had TCU who beat Florida and Wisconsin after they lost to New Orleans in their opener. Then you've got schools like Colorado beating Washington by 13. I mean, this league, top to bottom, is as deep and as talented as it's ever been. But how about your Hawks, bro?
Yeah, I mean, this was a near-perfect weekend for the Big 12 when you look at what the Big 12 did overall on Thanksgiving, with the exception of Cincinnati, who fell to an Eastern Michigan team that will most likely be a quad 3 or quad 4 loss for them. That one could really come back to bite Cincinnati. But on Thanksgiving Day, BYU beat Miami by 10 points. TCU beat Florida. Colorado over San Francisco, and Oklahoma State beat Northwestern. And then Friday, BYU over a really good Dayton team, so they're 6-1. Colorado beat Washington pretty badly. TCU over Wisconsin. Colorado is 7-0.
I know.
They're the biggest surprise in the Big 12 by far. Like, they look legit. This is the Colorado story is absolutely incredible. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Kansas. Kansas goes out and wins 3 in the Players era. Their first 2 over Notre Dame and Syracuse were ho-hum wins. But beating Tennessee and doing it without Darren Peterson was huge. And the Tennessee game for Kansas was incredible. The way that they were down 12 points at halftime, looked like they had no shot. And then they just defended incredibly well in the second half of that game. And when you consider that, Tennessee had just beaten Houston, and Kansas without Darren Peterson, just the amount of growth that they showed. And I'll tell you this, Elmarco Jackson had a really bad first half in this game for Kansas, but he came alive in the second half. And I think, when you look overall at what's Kansas missing without Darren Peterson, we know what's missing. I think what they've gained, though, is some confidence within their guard play. Jamari McDowell, Elmarco Jackson, Melvin Council. Council, down the stretch of that Tennessee game, was unbelievable. His ability to go straight line down to the rim is incredible, and I love Bryson Tiller's game as well. He's got, big man size, can block shots, can rebound the ball, but can step out and shoot. So I just think the emergence of their backcourt, especially again after Elmarco Jackson had such a dreadful first half, and Jamari McDowell, Elmarco Jackson, and then Melvin Council really came alive in the second half and propelled Kansas to that victory. 3 impressive wins, and it was a $300,000 game for them in that third-place game. They didn't end up playing in the championship game based on point differential for the Players era, but still finishes off with a really impressive win, their best win of the season. Kansas had their 3 best wins of the season all in 3 straight days of the Players era. And now they get UConn tomorrow with potentially Darren Peterson returning. We shall see.
Is that a thing, potentially?
Yeah. Yeah. There was initial thoughts that December 2nd would be the day, and so we'll see. UConn comes to Allen Fieldhouse.
I look at what Kansas has done without him because they've played 8 games, 6 of them, basically 6.5 without Peterson. They're still top 4 in the league in scoring defense. They're top 4 in the league in free throw shooting, which, remember, was a problem for them last year.
Right.
They couldn't get to the line, and then they couldn't make their free throws. They're second in the league in field goal percentage defense. They lead the league in guarding the arc. Opponents are only shooting 24% from 3. Now, Kansas hasn't shot the ball particularly well themselves, but they're doing all the things defensively much better than they did a season ago, especially at this point, and they're doing it without Peterson, who is their offense. And they're doing just enough offensively now without him that when he comes back, the pieces could really fit together nicely.
Yeah, no, and the first net rankings were released of the season. Again, that gives us the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3. The Big 12 has 5 teams in the top 25 of the net, which is incredible. Arizona, Iowa State are 6 and 7. And then you get BYU at 13, Kansas at 17, and I thought there was one more that I'm overlooking right now.
Houston?
Yeah, Houston 18. Thank you. So you've got Arizona and Iowa State 6 and 7, BYU at 13, Kansas and Houston at 17 and 18. And then you go down even further, and you basically only 2 Big 12 schools are outside the top 150 in the net, and that'd be Cincinnati and Utah. Utah's had some nice wins. They beat Ole Miss by 1 point after nearly blowing a huge lead, and then Cincinnati had that really bad loss to Eastern Michigan. But beyond that, you've got Texas Tech at 37 and Colorado at 46, which is a huge surprise to start this year. Oklahoma State at 53, TCU at 54, Kansas State at 55, UCF at 58. So in the top 60, you basically have 10 teams in the top 60 of the net for the Big 12. So, it's been a great start. When you look overall at the Big 12's record against the Power 5, it's incredible. And, the Big 12 right now looking like the best conference in America.
My last note on KU is they are head and shoulders above everybody else in this league in blocks. They protect the rim. They make it difficult in the lane. They've got almost 15 more blocks than anybody else in the league. I mean, it's a landslide runaway for KU. There are 4 teams that are undefeated in the Big 12. Arizona, Iowa State, Colorado, and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has wins at Northwestern. That was in Chicago. They beat South Florida. They beat Texas A&M, who just throttled Florida State the other night. They're undefeated at 7-0 and lead the Big 12 in scoring at over 90 points per game. And Colorado has wins over Providence, San Francisco, who's expected to be one of the better mid-majors, and a 13-point win over Washington. And you look at their upcoming schedule, they might be undefeated going into Big 12 play. They've got a road game at Colorado State. They play UTSA. They play Stanford at home in Boulder. Their schedule's very comfortable between now and the Big 12 opener in a month.
Yeah, and they're getting, Isaiah Johnson, the freshman, he came off the bench in their 2 wins over San Francisco and Washington and played well, 16 points off the bench against San Francisco. Bangkok Dak, 17 points, 5 assists. He's been it's been different players that have gotten involved for them, but they're a good 3-point shooting team. They don't turn the ball over well. They take care of the basketball. They are. I think we've spent a lot of time this year already talking through some of the biggest surprises, and we haven't really mentioned Colorado. And I think at this point now, it's obvious that they're a huge surprise in a major positive way. They went out to Palm Springs and became, made a huge statement with their wins against San Francisco and Washington.
They're third in the league in scoring offense. There are 3 teams in the league averaging over 90 points per game. Think about that. Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and Colorado. If I'd asked you before the season who are the 3, 8 games in, 7 or 8 for everybody, that's scoring 90 points per game, wouldn't have said Iowa State and Colorado.
Yeah, no way.
Or even Oklahoma State.
Off to great starts. Oklahoma State and Colorado, to me, are the 2 biggest surprise teams so far in the Big 12. Put together fantastic seasons and have done really well in the non-conference. And again, when you look at the Big 12's record against the Big 10, against the SEC, against the ACC, against the Big East, it's really good.
Iowa State leads the league in field goal percentage, shooting 53%. The best 3-point shooting team has been Kansas State and Colorado, both at over 42%. Just looking at some of the numbers, rebounding margin, Arizona's plus 12 per game on the glass. They are just pounding teams on the boards. UCF got a nice win over Pitt. Oklahoma State is top 3, and then Kansas is 4th in rebounding margin in this conference.
In Arizona, that's bully ball. They're at this point the best team in the Big 12. They're playing great bully ball. That travels. They play good defense. They rebound the ball. They post you up down low, and they've got big guards that can post you up. Arizona's fun to watch.
How did you feel about Houston losing to Tennessee and then Kansas beating Tennessee on the next night? Any concern there for Houston?
No, look, I thought Fleming's played phenomenally in that game down the stretch. So when you get a true freshman that's taken over in a game, I think that's huge. And look, this is what Rick Barnes does, right? He piles up big wins in November. It came down to the end. So it doesn't say anything to me about Houston other than tough loss in a big tournament. They obviously wanted to win to maximize their take from an NIL perspective, and So they were highly motivated, and it's just a loss. But no, I mean, I'm not concerned at all.
So with the players era, and I'm with you. Remember last year they lost to San Diego State in a non-conference game. They lost to Auburn in a non-conference game. They had 3 losses. They were 4-3 at one point, and everybody had them. They weren't even ranked, I think, at one point, or if they were in the teens or 20s. But the players era. So when you get to that third day, there's actual dollar amounts associated with the team that wins and loses. Like, I'm a little confused on how all that works.
I think the top 4 teams cash out.
Got it.
Nobody else gets any money for doing it. That's my understanding. There might be or maybe there is you get money just for entering.
Yes, I think there's that.
But it goes. I know Kansas got $300,000 for getting third place, and then it was $200,000 for fourth place. I think it goes up, so it's $400,000 for second and $500,000 for winning the tournament.
Okay.
Which Michigan did. Michigan looks really good.
Yeah. When did Michigan get good at basketball?
Well, they were good, and then they hired what's his name, the former Michigan Juwan Howard, who was not good, and now they hired Dusty May, and they're good again.
That Dusty May it's incredible what he's done. Like that Florida Atlantic team that made the Final Four. I think every one of the starters on that team that ended up transferring eventually, not necessarily the next season because they did a good job of retaining that roster, and are balling out everywhere else in the country. Like the leading scorer at Wisconsin is a Florida Atlantic transfer who's averaging like 20 a game, and now he's got Michigan, the number 1 team in the country, in the net. At 7-0, they lead the nation in Quad 1 wins. Arizona, by the way, is number 2 in Quad 1 wins. Arizona has 2 or 3. Michigan, I think, has 4. So Arizona is still right there neck and neck with some of the top teams in the country. 3-0 against the top 25, 2-0 against the top 10.
And when you look at what the Big 12 did as a conference Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I mean, Wednesday had Kansas over Tennessee, Houston over Notre Dame, Iowa State destroying Syracuse. Then Arizona State losing to USC, which is fine, in the Maui Invitational Championship game. USC just shot lights out of that game. Eastern Michigan beating Cincinnati. That's the one knock overall. But then Thursday, BYU over Miami, TCU over Florida, Colorado over San Francisco, Oklahoma State over Northwestern, and then into Friday, BYU beats Dayton, Washington loses to Colorado, and TCU beats Wisconsin. So TCU, who fell to New Orleans to start the year, was 2-5 and lost to Texas Tech on Wednesday, has bounced back, and now they're 5-2 with wins over Wisconsin and Florida.
Man, that says a lot about Jamie Dixon and what he can do as a coach at TCU. They have turned it around. All right, coming up next, we talk with Taylor McCarg, our Monday morning quarterback. He joins Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio, as he does each and every Monday. You can see him on Inside the 12. He's an analyst for CBS and ESPN as we wrap up the quarterback talk for the regular season in college football here in the Big 12, the league of the quarterback on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios. Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. You're watching us on Big 12 Studios, Big12Studios.com, the Big 12 Fast Channel. Big 12 Championship game is set with Texas Tech and BYU this Saturday. You can hear it here on Big 12 Radio. Big pregame show ramping up between Artie and Taylor McCarg. Our Monday morning quarterback joins Big 12 today and on Saturday for the 2-hour pregame special from inside the 12, CBS and ESPN. Taylor, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're outstanding. But why are you so hard on Texas Tech quarterback Behren Morton?
Man, Red Raider fans, I am sorry. Goodness gracious. Trying to, that question was, does West Virginia have any shot in this game? And the answer was not really. And trying to pay respect to how good they've been, especially when Behren Morton is in the game. So absolutely want nothing but the best for him and would never want anybody getting hurt, especially for a guy that's been as banged up as he is. So Red Raider fans, I am sorry. I'll see you guys this weekend. And, talked with Tech this week and Joey and Behren and smoothed everything over. We're all good. But, man, that is a passionate fan base that I got on the wrong side of this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, basically, just to summarize, on the inside the 12, you were asked basically which kind of a shot does Texas Tech or does West Virginia have in this game, and you said the only shot is if they knock out Behren Morton. And, that makes sense. And, look, I mean, the reality is nobody's rooting for anybody to get hurt, but, when you knock out the other team's quarterback, you stand a much better chance to win the football game. So, yeah, that's just proven analysis right there.
Yeah, and it's one where, look, you don't ever want discuss injuries, and I think that was something that I obviously made a mistake on and apologized to Texas Tech. And I played injured a lot, and I knew going into every game they were going to try whatever it was, shoulder, ankle, that I was going to get extra shots on whatever my injury was. And that's where the mind frame, kind of addressing that and saying that. But that's the ugly part of the game that I know fans don't like to talk about, and did come across insensitive. I listened back to it and was like, man, that's not my best. So apologize to them. And again, Tech has been so good all year. And the point of that comment was if Behren Morton plays, I'm not sure there's more than one or two teams in the entire country that can beat these guys. So it's been a special season, and excited for Texas Tech. And excited to get up there and do this pregame show with you guys. I think this is going to be a fantastic rematch. I think BYU's learned a lot about themselves and how to play against this front for Tech, and I think they'll obviously benefit as well from not being in Lubbock for this game.
Yeah, what did you see from BYU quarterback Bear Bachmeier over the weekend? He only had 4 incompletions, throws for 289 and a score, which was a 4th down throw to Parker Kingston that he took to the house in their win over UCF.
I think what stands out to me most is his progression as a freshman quarterback all year has been what you would want as a best case sort of teach tape on a freshman. When you go back all the way to the beginning of the season, they were trying to protect him. There were not a lot of shots downfield. They were scheming up throws, and there was play action where there's really only one read. And it feels like they've just added a little bit to his playbook each and every week. And you're seeing him get more and more comfortable. He's plays so well at home. But even on the road, I think you've seen him, that confidence build as the year has gone along. Mm-hmm. And that's what excites me most about this game this weekend from BYU's perspective, is to see him get another shot. Because against Texas Tech the first go-around, they did such a poor job, BYU did, on first down, where you had so many drives where they were behind the sticks and in that 3rd and 7 plus. And I think you'll see a different game plan where they're going to try to help out their quarterback, get it to more manageable down and distances on 3rd down. Because when they get it to a 3rd and short, man, you open up that RPO game with Bear Bachmeier, and he's gotten so good at that as the year has gone along. I think he deserves. I mean, he'll be a freshman All-American. Is one of the best freshman performances we've seen since probably Jalen Hurts. So I think he's been about as good as you could ask for from a true freshman.
Yeah, well said. So my curiosity leads me to this game, and what BYU was not able to do on offense against Texas Tech. Will that be different this time around?
I think it will be different, and I think Texas Tech all season their front, and this is nothing new, but their front, if they get you off schedule, it is so difficult to run the field on them.
Yeah.
Going 10, 12, 15 play drives against this defense, and especially that front, is so hard. And if you can't create the chunk plays and you're in third and long situations, well, that's how you end up with a game like they did against Tech the first go around. Now, the credit in that game was to BYU's defense in the red zone, because that game, I believe it was 29-6 or 26-9. I may be having that score flipped, but it should have been in the 40s for Texas Tech if they could have converted any of those red zone trips. There were so many drives that ended in a field goal, and I think BYU is going to have that performance on the defensive side, try to trade field goals, and then for BYU on the offensive side, I think you'll see a better game plan, a more improved game plan. I also just, in general, I don't think BYU will be shell-shocked this go-around. I don't think you've seen what Tech has to offer. I expect this to be a much closer game. If I'm making a pick in this game, I do think Texas Tech wins this game. I think they're the most talented team in the league, but I don't foresee this being that lopsided, sort of one-sided game that we had the first go-around.
That voice is Taylor McCarg from Inside the 12. He'll be joining Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Today, part of the 2-hour pregame special, ramping up to the Big 12 championship game this Saturday. He's an analyst for CBS and ESPN. So, Taylor, you mentioned off the top that when you played quarterback, you played hurt or injured or dealing with various things a lot. So, can you put into perspective what that does mentally if you're Baron Morton? He was fantastic against West Virginia. Like, how do you think he's managing the fact that he knows that the opponent is looking to take a shot on him each and every snap?
Well, Barron has looked healthy the last couple of weeks, and especially against West Virginia. I mean, he's running around. The issues that he's had and the injuries that he's dealt with this season, it looks like he's put behind him. And I think for this game, for both of these quarterbacks, I go back for Bear Bachmeier, man, that shot he took on the sideline against Texas Tech. You're going to have to try and make sure if they break the pocket, and this is true in every game, but get what you can get and then get down. Don't take the unnecessary hits, because this will be a physical football game. And I think that's the brand that Texas Tech on the defensive side, my goodness, they've been so good at getting after the quarterback all season. And you just got to know that in a game like this, get rid of the football. And I think Baron Morton has done a great job of that all season. But if it's not there and you're going to take off, get what you can get and get down, or if you break contain, just get rid of the football. And I think both of these quarterbacks have done a good job of that. Bear Bachmeier has done a better job of that as the season has gone along, learning when the play is there, when he can extend a play and kind of create that second off-script play versus just eat it and get rid of the football.
Talking with Taylor McCarg here. Taylor, we talk to you each and every week throughout the football season, and you're on Monday Morning Quarterback. And we started this year talking about this was the year of the quarterback of the Big 12, and I know that it ended up that way. I would say this was more of a year of running backs and defenses, quite frankly, which is incredible. But, I mean, how did this thing round out in terms of the quarterback position overall? Just give us your kind of high-level thoughts here on how this thing went from a quarterback perspective. And, Noah Fafita at the top there for you?
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth at the end there with Noah Fafita, because if you look at, Sawyer Robertson at the beginning of this year, I thought was on pace for – after he gets through beating SMU, it's like, man, is this guy going to make it to New York? The way that they were throwing the football, but Baylor couldn't stop anybody. And I think Sawyer Robertson in that offense, as many times as they had to put it in the air, the turnover started to pile up. Okay, well, now they're not even making a bowl game. Cincinnati, Brennan Sorsby, you get through the month of October, he looks unbelievable. And then they drop look at their month of November. They end up at the same league play as Kansas State, who just had to win last week to get to a bowl game. So Sam Leavitt being injured, right? I think that there's the depth in this league. I agree with you. What stands out to me most is we went into this season talking about the quarterbacks, but the defenses stepped up in a league that has not always been defined by their defense, right?
Yeah.
And I also, the two biggest surprises that we talked about at the beginning of the season, and I was really high on Houston, but Arizona in there as well, for both of those teams to get to 9-3 and 6-3 overall in league play. Man, Houston last year, one of the worst offenses in all of college football, and Arizona looked, there were people saying, are they going to need a regime change after just 2 seasons?
Yeah.
And now look at how incredible both of those seasons were. And Noah Fafita, you hit it on the head a second ago. From what he had a year ago, where they went from, okay, you got one top target on the outside, to this year, much more balanced, spreading it around, did a much better job of taking care of the football. And then at the top, I mean, Baron Morton and Bear Bachmeier have been exactly what you would hope out of your quarterbacks all season. Sure, there have been disappointments in this league, and at the bottom of the league, obviously, whether it was young guys or injuries. But I do think we still ended up with 4 or 5 guys in this league that have played quarterback at a really high level. And 2 of them we're going to get to see this weekend in the Big 12 championship.
Of this other group, I want to ask you about Houston quarterback Connor Wegman, because, I mean, I remember before the season began, you called it that, hey, this is a 5-star kid that has all the tools if he can stay healthy. And he did this year. And he comes off a massive win at Baylor. He accounts for 3 touchdowns. He grew up playing running back until like 8th grade, so he had, he's familiar and comfortable carrying the football. Rushed for $121. What did you think about his season and his effort against the Bears?
I got to spend a little time around Wegman at the Manning camp this summer, and we had him in the opener for them against Stephen F. Austin on that Thursday night. And just being around him in the building in this summer, he's a guy that you want to pull for. And, we don't root for games, right? But I do think it's okay for us that are covering this to root for player storylines. And for a guy that at A&M, it didn't work out, and it was time for him to move on. I'm happy for the guy, for the player, that he had this resurgence in his career. Because if you look at the production that he had this season, I mean, almost 650 yards on the ground and 11 touchdowns running the football. I mean, he added back that element to his game that made him, 5 stars, a dual threat. I think he had some interception issues at certain times this season, but to have 3,000 yards of total offense and get this team to 9 wins, I'm just happy for Wegman that this is the resurgence that he's having in his career right now, because you could just see, again, being around him and in the building with him at the first part of this season, his teammates and coaches love him. And it's one of my favorite stories of the Big 12 this year is the resurgence of that program, and seeing another Willie Fritz-led team go from a disappointing year in year 1 to immediately, at the forefront of a league where he did it with Tulane in the American, and now doing it with Houston in the Big 12.
Yeah, well said. Taylor McCarger, Monday Morning Quarterback, joining us here on Big 12 Radio. Big 12 Today, brought to you by Modelo. All right, what's your case here for BYU as a playoff team? Do you think that this league right now is going to be a one-bid league, and do you think that if BYU wins over Texas Tech, there's a chance for 2 bids? How do you look at this?
Yeah, I don't know. People hate this, but I would take BYU over Alabama. I think Alabama has not been punished enough for losing to Florida State. That loss has just been swept under the rug. And if BYU loses, especially close to Texas Tech, and they finish the regular season at 11-1 with a win over Utah, win over a ranked Cincinnati, I think they deserve to be in. And I think especially, you look at how Alabama had to win against an Auburn team that's inept on offense. I don't think that this is some dominant team that deserves to be in over an 11-1 BYU. Yeah. So I think BYU should be a playoff team. I think what would be a real travesty is if they somehow work Miami in above BYU. I don't think that's going to happen, especially with SMU losing on the road at Cal and not making the ACC championship. But yes, I think this should be a 2-bid league, especially this season where I don't think we have dominant teams out of the SEC. And whether or not that happens, I don't know. Right now, it looks like they'll be on the outside looking in unless they go win it this weekend, and then I think the league does get 2 in, because I don't think they would bump Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Taylor McCarg from Inside the 12, ESPN, CBS, Monday Morning Quarterback here on Big 12 Today. Thank you, Taylor, and we'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, guys, I'm fired up for Saturday. Thank you guys for having me on each Monday this week or this season.
It's been awesome, man. Awesome stuff. Taylor McCarg, Monday Morning Quarterback here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn. Watched on Big 12 Studios, BYU and Texas Tech. You can catch it, plus the 2-hour pregame show ramping up to kick off this Saturday. More details all throughout the course of the week here on Big 12 Radio. We'll wrap it up with the final whistle. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league, brought to you by Modelo. One final time, it is the final whistle here on Big 12 Today, powered by our friends at Modelo. Modelo fan rule number 15, off-season optimism is mandatory. Here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio.
Let me ask you that, in light of that, real quickly. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. Who should be most optimistic now into the offseason in the Big 12?
Most optimistic? Man, that's a good question.
Optimism is mandatory. That's our Modelo fan rules. Rule number what?
Rule number 15.
15.
So I'm leaning Arizona or Houston. I'm looking at the teams that are just outside of the teams that play in the Big 12 championship game. I think Utah's another one, but that will be dictated by what Kyle Whittingham does for next season. Will he retire? Will he come back? Nobody knows. So I lean Houston, Arizona. It'll be year 3 for both coaching staffs. The recruiting class Houston has coming in, they're playing a ton of underclassmen. And then Arizona, it's just 2 words, 1 man, Noah Fafita, coming back next year for the Wildcats. They also have done a really nice job of keeping their key group, their core group of guys, in the short time that Brennan's been there. So, yeah, those are the 2 that popped in my head first.
You know, it's funny you say that because those were also the 2 that popped in my head first. And then I was like, oh, wait, no. How about it's the 2 teams playing for the Big 12 championship? Right? I mean, for BYU, they've got Bear Bachmeier in there for the long haul.
Yeah.
And a defense that just doesn't matter. It feels like who the personnel is. They're great every year. And then for Texas Tech, I mean, yeah, they're going to lose some dudes off this team, but they're recruiting at a high level. We know they're going to hit the portal, you know, ready to pick up where they left off. And I mean, I'd say at the quarterback position, though they're going to lose Morton, there's still a ton of optimism for whatever they bring in the portal and the health, you know, of
Will Howard.
Will Hammond, thank you. I was so close to saying Will Howard. So, but I agree with you. I think Arizona and Houston certainly in the conversation, but I'd probably think there's nobody more optimistic heading into this offseason than 2 teams that are just beginning their seasons to a degree, in Texas Tech and BYU.
Absolutely. I mean, with Bear coming back, you and I could start at middle linebacker for BYU, and they'd have a top 10 defense.
How about Colorado? You optimistic for Colorado this offseason?
Mm-mm.
Deion said Last Supper. This was the Last Supper.
I don't know what that means, but
look, I've got confidence that Deion can get this thing figured out. They're going to be fine next year.
We'll see. Man, they got to bring in some dudes.
Iowa State. Rocco Becht is back.
I feel good about them.
Iowa State's probably the team we won't mention here that probably needs the most mentioning in terms of optimism. They've got arguably the best quarterback coming back. I know Fafita's coming back too, but Rocco Becht, I think, proven over multiple years, and like they get healthy at corner, they're going to be really good. The problem was they were not healthy at linebacker last year, and they were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly, they were not healthy at corner this year, so it's not like they got bit by the injury bug 1 year. It's been 2 straight years of it.
And they lose Dom Orange. That concerns me a little bit. He just such
he's
a space eater in the middle. So, yeah, that's where I'd lean. All right, I know for the final whistle, you've got something. I've got something real quick. I think you'll enjoy this story about Thanksgiving. So this was on Thanksgiving Thursday. We had the world's most peaceful, adults-only Thanksgiving. Like, no kids. We did that earlier in the week. No drama. It's just me. It's my wife and my cousin. So after the Thanksgiving meal, we're all just sitting on the couch, chatting. I'm in food coma mode. I've got a belly full of ham and potatoes and corn and all the things.
Ham over turkey, yes?
Yeah, we went ham. We went full ham. We actually had both, but nobody ate the turkey. So we just
if given the option,
ham. We went ham on that ham. So, I mean, nobody's moving. We're watching football game after game. We're in full, like I said, food coma. And we hear this sound from outside. And our neighborhood's really quiet. We hear this sound that just doesn't fit. It does not belong on Thanksgiving. It was a lawnmower. And we thought, who in the world would be mowing their lawn on Thanksgiving? This is a day of rest. This is a day of family and fellowship. Who is this monster, this menace to society? We look out the window. It was us.
It was your lawn people.
Our lawn people showed up. They come every Thursday.
Did you demand that they work on Thanksgiving?
That was our concern.
Yeah.
Instant panic mode. Oh, my Lord, the neighbors are going to think that we made these guys come mow our lawn on Thanksgiving. Apparently, we just didn't tell them not to come on Thanksgiving.
Which you figured you wouldn't have had to do?
So they show up. There's like an army of these lawn dudes, like 8 of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just, they've got all the gear, and it's so loud. And we were in panic mode.
Just that, like, your neighbors would be, like, totally judgmental?
Totally judged. And then also, we had all the windows open. It was a nice day. We're all sitting on the couch in a slumber, so we felt like they were judging us.
So what? Yeah,
the
right.
Neighbors were judging us.
Everybody's
like we're
judging.
Running some lawn mowing sweatshop with these guys running around doing our yard. It's like, go home.
What time?
Go home. It's half done. It's fine.
What time?
Leave. Mid-afternoon, like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
3 or 4 o'clock. The sun is still very much out.
That's a bizarre one. That's one that's like, oh, I didn't know I would have needed to tell you not to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife's in like full grandmother mode. She's pacing around the house. Who's mowing their lawn on this? What the heck? The French is going on out there.
I used to have a neighbor when I was growing up that would mow the lawn at the most inopportune times. Like, there'd be like a tornado warning. Rain would start to fall. And you'd see this dude out there in his ride-along lawnmower, like going on. It's like you had all week with great weather. You decide, you know what? During the rain and tornado warning is when I'm going to be out there mowing the lawn.
Tornado's not going to stop this grass from growing.
It was like an ice storm was about to hit. And he's like, I got to get out there and mow the lawn.
Man from cutting.
That's right. Let me ask you this on Thanksgiving. When is the proper time to be eating Thanksgiving?
Eating?
Yeah.
I'm pretty flexible. We snacked all day and ate around
I didn't ask you to be flexible, James. I asked for a very hard, cut and dried. What time are you supposed to eat Thanksgiving?
I think 1 o'clock is the appropriate time. I'd say 1 o'clock.
I'd say any time between 1 and 3. So was it weird then that I got a little upset at my sister because we didn't have Thanksgiving until about 5? 5 p.m.? And she looked at me like I was the crazy one. She's like, it's Thanksgiving dinner. Why are you going to eat dinner at 3 o'clock? I'm like, it's always how it goes. Like, it's a thing. Think the Cowboys play, and you eat while the Cowboys are playing. That's how it works. It's 3 o'clock each and every year.
It's a midday dinner. It's a dinner. It's a lunch dinner hybrid.
It's a whole thing.
And you have to snack all day, but you can't snack until 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah, this was let's eat at 5, and I was like, whoa. That is way too late for Thanksgiving. I just want to make sure, though, that I wasn't the one that was off here because, I don't know, she's like, why would you eat dinner at 3 o'clock? And I'm like,
how did the rest of the family
Thanksgiving after 3 o'clock? Well, everybody just went along with it. Right?
Everybody's fine. It's just you throwing a fit?
Me throwing. Well, this all started because we went to go see a movie at about...
On Thanksgiving?
Well, that's the thing you do. Thanksgiving's the day you go see a movie.
Is
you got to go to the early ones, and we go to a 1 o'clock showing. I'm like, wait a minute, they're going to see Wicked 2. That's a 2.5-hour movie. I'm starting to do the math. Like, we're not going to get back. Like, what?
Wait a minute. We're watching the movie at 1. It's going to be over at 3:30. It's a 30-minute drive. Then we're going to get there at 4. We've got to put the finishing touches on the meal. We're not eating till at least 5.
And I'm like, what time are we eating? She's like, 5. And I'm like, what? What? This is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
So anyway, Zootopia 2 is a banger.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a banger. I opted for Zootopia 2 instead of Wicked 2.
Well,
on Thanksgiving.
I watched football all day because I'm a full-time fan.
That's right. Did you really?
Not a part-time fan. I'm a full-time.
No way you did.
Yes, absolutely I did.
You watched Lions and Packers?
Yes, we watched the Macy's parade. Cousin came over. We sat on the couch. We chatted. Ate a lot of food, had some martinis, and watched football all day.
You saw the Chiefs lose to the Cowboys?
Yes,
You did see that one?
I saw it.
Okay. Just want to make sure. And then
Thanks for the text, by the way. Oh, hey, James, the Chiefs are on. The Chiefs are playing, in case you want to know. Too busy watching Gossip Girl. Might want to turn on the football game. Taman was at the game, so I didn't feel bad about the Cowboys winning. Might want to turn off Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and watch the game.
How did you know that's the voice I make when I send those texts, by the way?
I just know.
Turn off Gossip Girl. Put on the Chiefs. Like, yeah, I know. The Chefs are losing.
Dude, they're not even going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're 6-6.
Meanwhile, the Bears are
2.5 games back.
Meanwhile, the Bears are 9-3. So
I know.
Don't look now. Literally, don't look now.
Well, what time did you eat Thanksgiving?
I actually had 2 Thanksgivings. So one was around 9:30 and one was around 3:30.
2 Thanksgivings?
Yes.
Sorry, 9:30 in the morning?
So we went out.
Are you crazy?
You had a breakfast Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah. Egg casserole. You have to get going on all that. So
That's pretty good.
I went to get up for my aunt's house in Fort Worth. So my wife and I go over there. We eat with that family. And then we go over to my sister-in-law's house, which is about 90 minutes away. And so I felt a little fat over the weekend because I got 2 meals.
2 meals, man. That's the way to go.
Is it with a 90-mile drive in between the two?
Yeah, I don't like the drive. I'm too tired to drive.
Yeah.
After that.
I was definitely overserved. Far too many Modelo's as well.
Oh.
So that led me to heckling my sister about the dinner.
Okay. So not only is he hungry, but being spoon-fed Modelo's all day with a 5 p.m. dinner?
Oh, I wasn't spoon-fed.
Bad idea.
Oh, yeah, I was. Those were
Guzzling
going.
them.
Yeah, they were being guzzled. Yeah, absolutely. Even during the movie, who knew Zootopia 2 could be so much better with little Modelo?
Yeah, that blew my mind. Being in a big city, being able to drink during movies. It's like, that's a thing? I thought that was very much off limits.
Nothing says big city quite like that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
What do you bring to the table? Don't you have some story you text me about? I was all excited about.
What did you bring to the table?
What are you bringing to the table here?
Well, look, I saw this story on Wednesday of last week and thought, you know what, I've got to wait for James to get
I got to
back.
find this.
Headline, unemployed son dressed as dead mom to collect her pension in Mrs. Doubtfire scam while holding her body at home, while hiding her body at home. So basically, this unemployed man in Italy, 56 years old, his mother died, and instead of alerting authorities of his mother's passing, he instead stuffed her body into a sleeping bag where over the next 3 years it would mummify. And then he basically dressed up as her. I mean, and according to this New York Post article, meticulously impersonated each detail of his mother down to her makeup and continued to cash her pension. So he even got a new ID card dressed up as her. He collected basically $60,000 in pension money while she was already passed.
61,000.
Yeah, and then basically what happened is over time...
Yeah, would you go full Mrs. Doubtfire for $61,000?
No.
For $61K.
I would not stuff my mom, my dead mother, into a sleeping bag.
I know that part of it.
But no. Yeah, no. And I don't, if it's like Mrs. Doubtfire once for $61K, but to do it like repeatedly every month to collect pension for multiple years.
Or how many years did he do it for? $61,000 annually. Took him like 3 years to realize, hey, that's not your mother. That's a man, baby.
I mean, it's there are just a lot of questions I have.
The eagle-eyed government employee finally picked up on this scheme after noticing his apparently masculine features, including his low voice and, quote, thick neck.
You know, when he started to walk into the men's bathroom, something really came free for me where I thought, I don't know if this is really the guy's mom.
That might not be Mrs. Doubtfire. How about that?
Yeah, this would be like a great sequel to Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire 2.
This is Mrs. Doubtfire real life.
Yeah, except that he didn't even do it in order to hang out with his kids. He just did it to take advantage of his dead mother.
Yep.
It's even way worse.
Way worse. Taylor McCarg, Monday Morning Quarterback, joined us today. We also had Robert Allen, the Oklahoma State sideline reporter who is retiring. He announced on the show. Congrats to him. He'll continue to host his 3-hour sports talk show there in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and write for Polk's Report. We'll have more tomorrow on what will be a Takeaway Tuesday, including Zach Barnett, college football writer for Football Scoop. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling for Will Connerly, filling in for Taman. You've been listening to Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, brought to you by Modelo, heard exclusively on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Till tomorrow, we're out.
Peace.